Woo! Welcome in, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Happy Friday to you. Let's get your head right. Like the last day of fun you're going to have for a while, in my opinion. Well, maybe an anxiety-free day today, if you're a baseball fan, certainly. Welcome in. Good to have you. We are like ducks on a pond. On the surface, everything looks calm, but beneath the water, our little feet are churning a mile a minute. It has been such a hectic week in the Ben and Woods world, the 97.3, the fan world. It's crazy, man. When the playoffs come to town, you got to be ready. You got to be fluid. You got to be ready to jump at a moment's notice. I did some rudimentary math yesterday, fellas, and I realized that after our live broadcast tomorrow at AleSmith from 2:30 to 4:30, we will have talked on the air for 23 hours this week. 23 hours is almost a full day of RBS. A full day of 7. Just us. I don't know. It's too much. Like it's. I don't think it's too much. I'm not like I can't do it. I'm like, do you guys still want this? Do you want a full day of Ben and Woods a week? 24 hours essentially of us just prattling on and.
Can't we just do one show?
One 23-hour show?
One 4-hour show, and we'll just run it back 6 times.
6 times? I just hope that it's not overkill for us. I'm kind of I'm out of fresh perspectives really on talking about, the game that ended a couple days ago and the games that are ahead. You need the games to actually talk about something fresh, but we are going to have some fun today. That I do promise you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. And Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. Don't you think that we should just bite the bullet and find one more hour?
One extra hour?
Just to say we did 24 hours of live local radio this week.
It's kind of like hitting 29 home runs.
Yeah, you just want to
just get the one
even round number.
A nice round number. I hope you guys aren't over it. I hope you're still enjoying what you're hearing every day. And
I think it's so rare. First of all, playoffs come around just once every year.
Yeah.
And they don't, because they only come around once every time you make the playoffs.
Right.
If you're a Padres fan, didn't get any last year, got it a couple of years ago. I think honestly, even if it gets a little repetitive, this is what we want this time.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much better than the alternative. Last year at this time, we were going like, yeah, watching all these other teams in the playoffs. Our team's done after a disappointing season. I would much rather have it this way than any other way.
Me too, no question. And again, it's not for lack of desire to talk about it or be. I couldn't be more into it. Went to marriage counseling yesterday with my wife, and it was rad. And our counselor started off the session by looking at me, and she goes, "Go Padres." I go, "Oh yeah," and she said, I'm not a big baseball fan, but I know, so tell me what's going on. So I kind of walked her through it, and I said, this is what you live for if you're us. This is what you absolutely live for, to be able to cover a playoff team, one that, a lot of people think can go a long way. And I said, I'm so ready for it, and I feel like super calm about it. My thing is just I don't want to saturate it, And I think, if it were up to, I don't know, certain people, 24 hours a full day a week is not enough.
It would be extra sweet if we did 24 hours.
It would be extra sweet.
Is it extra sweet because this is against the Dodgers?
It would be extra sweet if we did like 18 hours a day. He couldn't get enough of this coverage, even though we're basically just repeating ourselves over and over. Yeah, Dodgers. We all know the history here, So I don't know. There's plenty to talk about. I guess there's a couple moves that were made yesterday that are of some interest to Padre fans out there. Had a really fun day on Twitter yesterday. My heart actually goes out to the LA public school system. I don't know what's going on there. You probably need funding because of some of the takes that I saw yesterday on the Twitter machine. I thought, again, I was living in a simulation. And we can talk about that, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the LA public school system right now as we sit today. And I know you know what I'm talking about. the lack of logic or just basic understanding is staggering. The inability to read a date is staggering. And I couldn't believe what I saw yesterday. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. But so we have that coming up. We have something coming up today that is pretty legendary. If you look at the rundown, Ben.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Jordan Shusterman at 8 o'clock.
Well, we always
good.
have.
It's always pretty legendary.
We always have one of those guys.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't recognize as I'm looking at this rundown is at 7:35. It says Ben and Woods Roundtable.
Yeah.
What's the Ben and Woods Roundtable? We did the 97.3 The Fan Roundtable yesterday.
We sure did.
We don't have a roundtable. We just have the three of us.
Well, you guys know how much I love roundtables. I can't get enough of any roundtable.
It's true.
Nights of
You're
the
often
roundtable.
calling me, telling me how much roundtable you would like.
Sometimes I call
in your life,
Ben, and I say, "Can we just get let's just get one together? Just a few dudes sitting around a table and just."
Like, it makes you upset that the table that we're sitting at right now isn't perfectly round.
What shape would you call this, by
It's
the way?
oblong.
the weirdest shaped table I have ever seen.
It is.
It looks like a football that was, like, deformed.
It actually looks a little bit like a wiener. These are the boys, and then that's the shaft that way. But that's
a weird looking.
Yeah,
wiener.
well, I mean,
I don't know.
how is it not? Look. How about now? Does that make it any different for
Let's
you?
see. Just looking at the table here.
At any, I don't want to digress too much.
I don't know.
Yeah, kidney shaped with a shaft at the end of it. So, doing a special version of the roundtable. Should we just wait to tell him?
Kind of like making him sweat a little bit.
Do you have any ideas on what this...
I'm a roundtable expert, so if you guys
He's the
want to do a
host of the
roundtable,
He's the host of a roundtable.
I can handle whatever you
Well, you're
throw
hosting
at
this
me.
one too.
Well, Paulie, we need him to host this. That's the problem, is if he doesn't know what's coming, he is a brilliant, and I will say this, he is a brilliant, brilliant host of any roundtable. So I kind of need him dialed in on what's going to happen. So, I mean, it'll give you about an hour and a half to prepare.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, preparation's usually a good thing in this job.
All right, I say go for it.
Joining us at 7:35 this morning via Zoom, we are going to do the Ben and Woods Roundtable with me.
First ever, by the way.
First ever. With me, Paulie, you. Who else, Paulie? Who else is joining us?
From Fox 5, Julian Delgadio.
Yeah!
From CBS, Jake Garagani. And from NBC, Darnay Tripp.
Look at us. Look at us.
San Diego's best
Fine.
television sportscasters.
The best dressed as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Julian. I can't wait. How do you feel right now?
I feel, excited. They're good guys.
They're great guys.
They're good guys. They
Great
really
guys.
are. It's fine. I will roundtable it up with those decent chaps.
Now, can I tell
Are they
you?
coming in? What are they doing? They're zooming.
Yeah, zooming,
here.
yeah.
Okay, because they got to be as busy as I am. I'm surprised you were able to book them all. That was impressive.
It was a
Paulie.
tough get, but
Paulie worked his tail off on this yesterday. This is a Paulie idea, too. I couldn't have been happier. So you're not intimidated. This is a chance. They're coming into your house. This is a chance for you to show these guys.
assert your dominance.
Yeah, this is a chance to be the A1FA. You can get in there with those guys, and you be the A1FA, and they won't know what's hit them. They won't know what's hit them. So I can't wait for this. 7:35. We'll have fun. We'll talk Padres baseball, kind of get what their schedules are like. I know yours is getting potentially pretty hectic here, as is all of ours. It's just you got to be fluid, man. You have to be ready to jump at an Adam Klug phone call anytime he calls you. Oh boy, what now? What do we need? So it's we live for it. So I'm
the circus ringmaster.
Yeah,
what
you're
they
the
call it.
ringmaster.
So that's what I do.
That's exactly
we just
right.
have a few rings, extra rings in our circus this morning.
No doubt, man, no doubt. So I'm very very excited about that. I got an email yesterday that was really sweet, and I'm happy that I responded because I don't know that I always would, and something made me respond in the chat. We were talking about where all the people were listening from yesterday morning. The stream was buzzing on YouTube. And
Wales, Vienna.
Vienna, Wales. It was crazy. Charleston, South Carolina, Yuma, Arizona, like all over the country and all over the world. One jumped out at me in particular. Hey, guys, I'm listening from New Guinea, Papua New Guinea this morning. I go, what? He goes, could anybody potentially send me a rally towel? Now, you may remember back for the Ben and Woods Open, our boss Adam was distributing those around the county. When we needed them for our golf tournament, he had to go collect them back. I have the remainder at home. My wife has we like to call it the Padres Team Store North at our house. If you go into my garage, it looks like the Padres Team Store. There's more merch in there than you've ever seen. She has a hat making business now that she does. No business. She doesn't charge. She just makes hats. A little bit of a midlife crisis for her, but I'm happy for her hobby. She's way into it. They look great. But this merch store that she has built in our garage, so I told her, I go, I got this guy, do we have any rally towels? She goes, hang on, let me go out there. Pulls out the shelves. And oh, yeah, I've got some left over. These are last year's, but it doesn't really matter. Just a rally towel.
She's a milliner. That's the
milliner?
official word for a hat maker.
No kidding.
Milliner.
So you got to get him this year's rally towel.
Well, so that's the thing. I don't have this year's rally towel. I have last year's. Now,
2 years ago.
2 years ago. There were none last year. So do you think he's going to care?
No.
I don't think so either. Just the Padres rally towel. So got the he put it in the chat. How can someone send me a rally towel? And you know me. I was like, all right, shoot me your email. So I get an email from the guy. His name is Alan. He said, Woodsy, I'm the guy that asked for a towel in the chat. You don't know what it means to me that you immediately reached out. Grew up in San Diego. I'm a lifelong fan for 38 years, for better and for worse. And have unfortunately been deployed many times during multiple seasons over my 19 years in the Navy. You guys don't know how much you mean to me and to people like me. I listen to you guys almost daily. I feel like it keeps me connected to my city and my team. I'm out here using VPNs and paying way too much for internet just to follow our Padres, and every second has been worth it. You guys come on at 11 p.m. here. I changed my whole schedule to make sure I get to listen. It's my happy place. It gets me through the long days. A sincere thank you to you, Ben and Paulie, for what you do. Your city, us fans around the world love you and appreciate you. Gives me his address. Thank you for your support. Thank you for what you do for San Diego. Alan Sweat, Chief Petty Officer, U.S. Navy. And I said, bro, I go, number one, he sent me his Venmo to request. I go, we got it. We'll handle it. And my wife went out to the Team Store North, and she's pulling hats and Ben and Woods T-shirts that she has hoarded in there, stickers. So she's going to send him off a package this morning. I wrote him a nice note. And thank you, man, for what an effort to go through in Papua New Guinea to listen to this show, to support the Padres. And thank you, Alan, for your service. Thank you for your service to Ben and Woods. Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy.
First of all, that's incredible, and I echo those sentiments of the time you spend staying up, listening to us, and, of course, serving our country, being deployed for all those years. Alan, thank you so much. I often think of you as our Chief Petty Officer as well.
Yeah,
being as petty as you can be.
Uh-huh.
But you're
What
definitely
does that
the Chief
mean?
Petty Officer.
Because I hear that often,
Yeah.
and I go, that doesn't sound like a good title,
It probably,
but I'm sure it is.
yeah. I mean,
It's not petty in terms of like being vindictive and small-minded. That's not.
Wait. So you're calling me vindictive and small-minded? I would say I'm more the chief passive-aggressive officer.
Passive-aggressive? All right.
Yeah.
Chief
Sarcasm.
sarcastic,
The chief
sarcasm
sarcastic
officer,
officer.
maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I like, I've got a PhD in passive-aggressive. I have a PhD. I have a doctorate in sarcasm. It's how I like to have fun. I like to mix it up. It's fun. It's
He's
just
an
fun.
NCO. That's what that is.
What does that mean?
It's a non-commissioned officer. So you rise up through the ranks. You don't go to the academy.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get promoted from within, like a master sergeant, chief petty officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
The working men and women of our armed forces.
I can't thank you enough for you being able to go do the things that we're not strong enough to do, to be honest with you. And so, yeah, we're going to send that out to him today. Just a really kind email from him. And I think about the effort, man, that he goes through just to listen to the show, listen and support the team all the way over there in Papua New Guinea. I did have to look up where Papua New Guinea was. I had no idea. And it just made my day to get that, Alan. So you're going to have a care package on the way. Knowing my wife, she'll probably overnight it, which will be probably $1,500, I would imagine, to get it there pretty quickly. But you'll have it as soon as we can get it off today. Thank you for listening. Thank you guys for listening as well. Just thought that was a really cool moment.
All right, let's take a quick time out. When we come back, I heard something yesterday as I was driving home. Stephen Woods promoting something I'm very excited about. I was just very surprised to hear you talking about it on the radio. Have you been holding out on us a little bit?
A little bit. A little bit.
A new interest of yours, perhaps.
I had to record this with him, and I just sat there.
Paulie sat
my
there
jaw
like this.
just to the floor.
I nearly crashed my car when I heard this. Honestly.
What?
What?
I'm trying to think of a more unlikely pairing.
Okay, but you know what? I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I'm going to let you know when we come back. Kelly's got traffic, and we're going to have a fun Friday, I think, today with Ben and Woods and Paul and everybody across the globe, including Alan in Papua New Guinea on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hummel Casino. Fun above all else.
So it's October, and I know what October means for Stephen Woods over here. He has to cut pretty much all extraneous things out of his life.
Yeah.
It's all about the postseason, family, and work. There's really very little else you care about in October. Your priorities. Now, like last night, Thursday Night Football. How much did you watch of the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Bucks? Really good game.
I heard it was a great game.
Yeah.
And I saw the final play, and that looked like it must have been really exciting to watch. The Falcons won.
They did.
On a walk-off, essentially.
Kirk Cousins over 500 yards, wins it in overtime.
I
wasn't expecting you to watch it.
No, there's no way I could.
I know you. Your priorities are, family.
Yep.
Work.
Yep.
Padres baseball.
Yep.
And, of course, the number one priority, Clippers basketball.
More than anything, almost.
So, I don't know if anyone's heard this yet. I heard
my basketball
I heard it
Woods
once yesterday, and I go, wait, did I miss something? I know that the San Diego Clippers are coming to Oceanside. They're going to be playing the G League here in San Diego, taking over North County starting this season soon. What I didn't realize was who their number one promoter in San Diego was going to be. Mm-hmm. Paulie, do you have the spot here?
Oh, yeah. I've got it.
Yeah. Can you play the music behind it to give it a little... Can you play them at the same time or no?
If you give me a minute.
I'll give you a minute.
All right, you want to play them both at the same time. So anyway, I'm just driving and go, no one asked me about this, which is interesting because obviously I feel like I'm better known as someone who gets into basketball. Now, I'm a Lakers fan, so maybe that's why I wasn't asked.
Basketball Ben.
I'm basketball Ben,
yes.
But I'm definitely been a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
I play basketball.
You play basketball. You're a big
Paulie
basketball
plays
guy.
basketball every week.
You follow the league, not as much as Ben, but a lot.
I follow the league. Ben follows the Lakers.
Okay, I think that's...
I don't have a team.
Oh, you don't have a team. Okay, so yeah, you follow
general
basketball knowledge.
Yes,
right.
Fan of the sport.
Oh,
so I heard this.
Hey, San Diego, it's Basketball Woodsy here. Get ready for an epic showdown at the all-new Front Wave Arena in Oceanside next Tuesday, October 8th. Witness the LA Clippers take on the Brooklyn Nets in a thrilling preseason game. Hometown heroes Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell return to San Diego for one night only. 7,500 seats, luxury suites, exclusive lounges, and local craft food. Front Wave Arena is the place to be. Bring the whole family and experience the excitement up close as the Clippers gear up for an exciting season. Get your tickets now at frontwavearena.com.
So these are the actual LA Clippers coming for a preseason game against the Brooklyn Nets in San Diego, up in Oceanside at the brand new arena.
Woodsy,
correct.
Big Norman Powell.
You're the man. I
Yep.
covered Norman Powell in high school. I went to his high school basketball games.
We had him on the show.
We
After
absolutely
did. He won a championship with the Toronto
Raptors. He was really good on the air.
He was really good. Yeah.
Where were you when Kawhi was at San Diego State?
I was here.
Were you here for that? Okay.
Wasn't I? Yeah,
it was
I was
2010.
here. Yeah,
that
I
was
was
first
here.
year.
First year here.
All
Yeah.
right. So, and now you're
So what's
you're
your
the guy.
What's your question?
I was a little surprised.
As was I.
I kind of like it though. I mean, you've got kids. And this is I think this is going to be fun.
Here's the thing. They reached out to me and asked me if I would do it. And I wrote back in the email, guys, I'm kind of known, especially on our show, but really on the whole station, as the guy that follows the NBA the least. By far. I would say
on the whole station.
Craig follows it. Ben, Paul. Annie may be into it. I'm not sure.
Tony is
an
immense
massively
NBA fan. Might even be a bigger basketball fan than a baseball fan, if we're being honest.
Right. He was a player.
He loves basketball.
Everybody that does something wants to do something else. He was a big leaguer.
Elo's a big basketball and hockey guy.
Yep. And Braden, I think they all follow the league more than I do. And I wrote them and I said, I'm probably the one that's least known. They said, yeah, you have 2 small kids though. And I go, yeah. Do your kids like basketball? I go, no, my kids don't like basketball. They love basketball. They love it. We play basketball every single day in the street, every day. And they said, that's why we want you to voice it. And I go, all right. So then I thought to myself, well, I would love to take both kids to a basketball game. The only game they've ever seen live was Bo went to the Globetrotters and came home. It's like, that's how he fell in love. So I said, all right.
They don't pants anyone at the Clippers.
No,
games,
there's no,
so he knows,
but it's like to see, some of the best players in the world, and it's fairly close to home.
Yeah.
And they said, that's why we want you to voice it.
Very cool.
And I said, all right, man. And so I am going to take the kids when that game goes down and try to get them into it a little bit. And I think it's kind of like what's happened to me with soccer. I really didn't like soccer at all. When Bo plays soccer on Saturdays, your boy is like Pep Guardiola. I am pacing. I'm like pacing the sidelines. I'm like, let's go, push it up. Let's go. Come on, boys. I'm so into it. Why? Because he's into it. So when they asked me to do it, I said, I'm going to sound like an idiot, you guys, because I'm known for not liking it. They said, you got little kids. That's what we want. We want you guys to bring your kids up there. I go, all right, let's do it.
Kurt in the chat goes, I picture Woods just screaming, defense!
Chop.
Defense! Defense!
I do it for the Seals. I do that into the mic for the Seals, but I'm excited about it. So we're going to get them up and let them see some real professionals play basketball.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your kids as well. And, we got basketball coming to town, so very, very cool.
And we got soccer coming to town. I mean, all these things are coming, and it's just like, holy cow. Yeah, Tim says, Woodsy's the fan they're trying to reach. No allegiance. That's exactly right. That's the guy you want.
Just a reminder, we've got a Ben and Woods special show coming tomorrow to AleSmith in Miramar. The broadcast will be live from 2:30 to 4:30, getting you ready for the San Diego-LA playoff game. AleSmith, $3.94 Pale Ale, the official rally pint of the playoffs. You can watch all of the San Diego postseason action at the AleSmith Tasting Room in Miramar with game day specials on $3.94 and more. They've got a huge brand new TV. How many inches, Paulie, did you say? Like 74 or something?
Massive.
Something massive that you can watch in the tap room all the way through the playoffs. We've got some prizes as well, some signed, like a signed Yu Darvish jersey.
I've heard there's going to be some autographed merchandise.
Okay, autographed
available.
merchandise. We've heard some things about that as well. So please show up tomorrow. Cheer on your team. 2:30 to 4:30 pregame. AleSmith in Miramar. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. There was some news, as you hinted yesterday. The Dodgers doing what the Dodgers, I think, do. Already maybe overthinking the first game of the playoffs with what was announced yesterday by their president of baseball operations, Andrew Friedman. We'll get into our look ahead to tomorrow's Game 1 of Padres-Dodgers when we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Yeah, we'll definitely get into Game 3 of the Wild Card Series last night. Mets and Brewers. We're down to 4 teams remaining in the National League. And
have you done have you guys checked out the recent playoff history for the Milwaukee Brewers? I mean, it is
tortured.
It's beyond tortured. You're almost, if you're a Brewers fan, like, I need a year off.
Is it as bad as who was it? The Twins that had
the Yankees against the Twins.
The Twins just got
it was just the
bodied
Yankees, though,
every game by the Yankees.
It was the Yankees Twins. It was like 12, 13 years in a row. You're like, we hit the Yankees in the first round.
Yeah, like how many games in a row have they lost?
John down the hall was born
Twins fan, yeah.
Born and raised a Twins fan, and he just is like, you get the draw, and you're like, well, I'm not watching. I can't do this anymore. And I think Brewers fans, they are going through it. You felt like they had that game in the bag, but
the last two.
They
had leads. They won the first game. They had a lead in the second game. Had a lead in the third game, and they let it get away, and their season is over.
Buddy, and it just goes to show you, man, like, it goes to show you how quickly it can disappear. And they had every bit of momentum, back-to-back homers in the 8th, and they're on, after a really hard-fought, well-pitched game, 0-0, and 2 back-to-back homers on back-to-back pitches. And
that place was electric.
Rocking.
Everyone was going crazy, and then they had their bullpen set up with Devin Williams, who is one of the nastiest relievers in baseball. But he gives up a couple of hits, and Pete Alonso's coming up. Now, this was probably, if he doesn't hit a home run, probably his last at-bat as a Met. He's going to be a free agent. Not a lot of, talk that they're going to be able to find common ground to sign him to an extension. So he's going to hit free agency. So they lose. They're down 3-2. They're down 2-0. This is it for him as a Met. And he comes through against the airbender, the signature changeup that Williams throws. Has not allowed a home run all season. Just kind of shortens up, goes the other way, and right over. He knew it was gone. I don't think anyone else did.
Yeah,
but hits that 3-run home run
when he hit it. No, they didn't. The Mets won the first game.
Oh, that's right. The Mets won
the first game. Brewers won the second game.
The Brewers won the second game.
But when he hit that ball, I go, it sounds like he got it. But when they did like the pan to his face, the second he hit it, he goes, F yeah! And I'm like, bro, that thing scraped the top of the fence. Like, how did you know that was going to go, man? It was nuts. I just think that I love the 3 games. I think it's brilliant. I know that's the only one that went 3, right? Yeah, that's the only one that went 3 games. It was high drama. It was excellent. My heart broke for Devin Williams, who I really, really enjoy. I hated seeing Jesse Winker happy. Jesse Winker is just rocketing to the top of most unlikable MLB players. I know how we feel about him in San Diego. But I was happy for our pal Italian Paul, big Mets guy. I know his heart must have exploded in that game, and as did most Met fans. But now, look, you look at what is to come. Let's be honest with ourselves as baseball fans that aren't partial to either team. Mets, Phillies, so much better than Brewers, Phillies. Can we agree with that?
The Mets and Phillies have never met in the playoffs before.
This is going to be incredible. What an incredible series.
I mean, both Padres, Dodgers, Mets, Phillies. You
can't get any better.
The rivalries of teams that are only 100 miles apart on both sides of the country. It's pretty much maximum drama and theater for Major League Baseball in the division round.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, John Boy did a breakdown this morning of Devin Williams potentially tipping pitches last night, letting them know that, hey, it's my glove's a little higher. Here comes the heater. Now, again, you're up there. You're looking for 1 or 2 pitches. I was laying with Bo watching that inning, and I said, so how do you – he's like, so how do you know? He goes, what do you do? And I go, you try to sit fastball – and adjust to the changeup. I said, but it's a 10 to 12 mile an hour difference. I said, you have to get lucky. You have to get lucky, or in maybe this case, you got to know what's coming.
I didn't see the breakdown, but in terms of it wasn't like Tatis swinging out of his shoes on the first pitch, hunting fastball. I think it was just Devin Williams falling behind 3-1, and Pete went the other way for that. That's not, to me, that's not you're sitting on something and you're swinging out of your shoes, but. It worked. It was a great at bat.
Well, again,
Pete Alonso.
If he had an inkling that changeup was coming on a 3-1 pitch, then
he waited on it.
He waited on it.
He definitely waited on it.
Drove it, and I was
whether he had an inkling or he guessed right, he was waiting on it.
What a moment! What a moment, Met fans. I mean, you are down to the final inning. Brewers fans, you're feeling like we are moving on. It's Philly time. But yeah, man, I do tend to agree. Now we never know how these series are going to go, but Mets Phillies certainly has a lot more cachet than Brewers Phillies, in my opinion. And it's going to be these two cities going at each other. Oh my God, it's very, very reminiscent of what's happening right now here in our fair burg.
Definitely heard a couple people go, as magical as this Padres season has been, and it is. The Mets also have a bit of that feel of
big time
team of destiny as well.
Inevitability.
They've had a lot of big moments. They, obviously their slow start and having to come back to just make the playoffs on the doubleheader last day of the season, the way they made the playoffs with their comeback against the Braves. They're also feeling like this is a special season. Will they end up meeting in the NLCS? I'll say, if they do, it's the one team that the Padres would have home field advantage against in the NLCS, where they would have games 1 and 2.
It was literally my only rooting interest.
So,
if the Padres can advance, I want the Mets to advance. Home field advantage.
Yeah. You would have that. You would have the first 2 and potentially the last 2 games at Petco Park of the NLCS if it was against the Mets. I still think the Phillies are much better set up for pitching. They've had playoff success the last couple of years. I think the Phillies are a solid favorite in that series.
You had a guy, I mean, it just goes to show you the weirdness and randomness of the playoffs. You had a guy, David Peterson, that had not pitched in relief in over a year. He's a starter for the Mets this year, a really good one. Has to come in and get the last three outs of the game, and it's just like, man, anything goes. It's the Wild West in October, so it's just they've had so many bits. The Mets, they had the Grimace bit, they had Hawk Tua girl, they had the utility infielder singing OMG.
Now they have the OMG sign.
The OMG sign. Now you had Pete Alonso, who bought a pumpkin in Wisconsin and said, "This is the playoff pumpkin," and that's their new bit. I'm like, God dang, dude, they're gonna run out of bits. They may run out of pitching too at some point.
They should host a morning show.
They have better bits than we do. I wonder if they're gonna do a roundtable today, because we are at 7:35. I'm excited about that.
Musical trivia. Take on
Pete.
Wait
until they debut the Mets Rally Roach.
Yeah, Rally Roach. Who am I talking about? We got plenty of bits.
All right, kiss the Rally Roach. All right, so the Phillies are well set up. They've been waiting all week. They know who's pitching. You'd think the Dodgers would do the same, but apparently they have a little more, up in the air nature of their starting rotation. We'll talk about that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Just a couple things to watch out for here. South 5 coastline near the racetrack. We have reports of a stalled vehicle, mostly over the right shoulder, could be partially in the slow lane, so move over a lane, but safe to do so. South 5 near the racetrack. Also southbound side of the 805, El Cajon Boulevard, somebody lost their bumper in the fast lane. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the Dodgers set their games 1 and 2 rotation a few days ago.
Yeah.
Whether it was the Padres or the Braves, they had said Jack Flaherty is going in game 1 and Yoshinobu Yamamoto would pitch in game 2. And then all of a sudden yesterday, Dodgers president of baseball operations, Andrew Friedman, talking to reporters and said, by the way, we are switching things around. We're going to go with Yamamoto in game 1 and Flaherty in game 2 of the NLDS against the Padres. And his reasoning was that they wanted the flexibility to bring Yamamoto back in game 5 on Friday, next Friday, if the series goes the distance, with an extra day of rest. Japanese pitchers like Yamamoto are used to pitching once a week. That's what they do over in Japan. Try to get him more rest, between starts, and thought it made more sense from a logistical standpoint.
Has he tried Saquon for rest
between
starts?
Stacks of pancakes and wet burritos.
100%.
Work on his golf game.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Padres faced Yamamoto, I believe, twice in Korea. Got him real good in the first inning.
Got him real good.
And then got a couple of home runs off of him. Manny and Ha-Seong Kim, I think, homered off him in a start at second time they faced him. And then haven't seen him. He was hurt for much of the season. And then came back and has pitched 3 or 4 times since coming off the injured list, usually about 4 innings per start. I'm not saying that it's the right or the wrong decision. I'm just surprised, Woods, that given all this time they've had, knowing that they were going to be the 1 seed, for a good over a week now, that now it's 2 days before and they've just changed their mind on what they want to do with the starting pitching. Do you read anything into this somewhat last-minute decision?
The petty side of me goes, all right, you guys are trying to get cute. But the practical side of me, I did you not see a report yesterday that Jack Flaherty had made some mechanical tweaks and it's caused his velo to drop a little bit, so they just wanted to give it an extra day. And I also saw the rest thing so that they could bring him back. I don't really know what to believe other than, they have guys at the top of their rotation that are rested, and they may just feel it's a better matchup. I was personally kind of bummed. I really wanted to see Darvish and Yamamoto go head-to-head. I thought that would have been cool for the game and the world to see. But other than
we thought that in Korea as well, and they didn't make it happen either way.
They didn't make it happen there either. So I thought that, that kind of bummed me out that we didn't get to see that. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know why they did it. They do stuff like this. So, we've done Michael King, as Chris Ello said on the roundtable yesterday. Michael King surprised the hell out of him when Mike Schilt named him the Game 1 starter. He absolutely assumed that it was just going to be Cease, Musgrove, and Darvish.
So ultimately, they could bring back either guy on next Friday if it goes Game 5.
Yeah.
They could bring back Yamamoto on an extra day rest or Flaherty from Game 2 on 4 days rest. However, and I heard this point made on MLB Network Radio, if the Dodgers are down 2-1 or down and it goes to Game 4 at Petco Park and they've got like Landon Knack and going, our season is on the line, they won't be able to bring back Flaherty or Yamamoto for that game at all. On short rest, Flaherty would be 2 days and Yamamoto would be 3, and he's not going to pitch coming off the IL on 3. So they're basically going, hey, if our season's on the line, we're down to Landon Knack in a bullpen game on Game 4, which would be on Wednesday.
Hey, man, listen, I watched Jose Quintana absolutely carve up, Jose Quintana, who did it to us this season as well. But the guy's, been around the block, Benny, a time or two, and you just never know when it comes to October. I really don't take anybody lightly, including Landon Knack or Yamamoto or Flaherty or whatever. But again, people in the chat are saying that they also read what I saw, that Flaherty's velo was down a tick, and they're working on, which I'll tell you, man, I can't even imagine.
I mean, that was the concern with Sale, and we saw how that went for the Braves. So, any red flag at this time of year is reason for at least keeping your ears open. What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. And boy, I'll tell you, you could probably ask any pitcher that pitched in the big leagues this question. Hey, do you like doing mechanical tweaks couple of days before your biggest start of your career and your season? If you're out there thinking about mechanics on the mound, you're done for, man. You just are. Like, that's something that needs to be locked in and ready to go. And especially, hey, man, my velo's now down because I tweaked this, or what am I missing? And so now they're trying to fix that last minute. Yeah, I mean, you would think it bodes well for the Padres, but it doesn't really mean much until the game starts.
But that is a legitimate, story to follow. I think this is a big load of nothing. Did you see Teoscar Hernandez's quote in the LA Times yesterday? He was quoted by saying, I wanted San Diego just because of the adrenaline and the intensity, just the history of these two teams. I think this is the best scenario for us. And not only us, but the whole baseball world.
I couldn't agree more.
Some people, the best scenario for us took that comment and went, oh, yeah, you tempt and fade. You think the Padres are a better matchup. I don't. I think that was
I think that's an honest, refreshing answer.
Yeah, I thought that was a well-thought-out statement.
You like a well-crafted headline.
Yeah, it was it has perspective.
You like a well-crafted headline. And I think that's one of them.
He's just acknowledging what we all know. It's going to be
awesome.
An exciting, much anticipated series that, even though it's
kind of a well-crafted headline,
it's just the region. It's not regional, even though it's just way down in Southern California. If I'm in Maine, I'm still interested in Padres Dodgers.
No question.
That's what Major League Baseball is hoping for in the playoffs.
We had a Tier 1 yesterday listing from Vermont. So close to Maine, a long way away. You know he's going to be locked in on these games, and yeah, I think it's good. I haven't seen too much talk from either side that makes me go, ooh, Manny and Tyler Wade both said, well, this is what everybody wanted, and that you could read into that as well if you're a Dodger fan. Like, oh, you want us? And I think the answer is yeah, hell yeah. This is what everybody wants. This is going to be great.
This is the baseball community.
Everybody wants, man.
This is who we want.
Yeah.
They don't care. They just want to keep playing.
Winning. Yeah, I think it's going to be sick. I think it's going to be absolutely sick, and cannot wait to see what happens. And yeah, hopefully they get to Yamamoto early because again, we talked yesterday on the roundtable, Benny, about the Dodgers bullpen. Everyone's loving on the Padres bullpen, and I look at what the Dodgers roll out there in the potentially 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Bro, it's nasty. It's nasty. Now you're probably going to get a lot of good looks at them. You're going to see those guys every day. So
the only thing that I feel like the Padres have the advantage, the back end, the Dodgers have dealt with some injuries. Gratterall has been banged up here late. If they really have to go deep, they're going to Honeywell, and I feel like the Padres, if they go 5 deep, they're going to Morihone. They're still going to a guy with a 2-something ERA who throws 98.
Well, but here's the deal. If they're deep, expect Blake Trinan, who is absolutely nasty. He's absolutely nasty. And Joe Kelly has pitched really well against us for some reason. Joe Kelly has thrown well against the Padres. Gratterall's pretty dirty. The kid
Vesey is really good.
Vesey's had a great year.
Some not great moments against the Padres, including in the playoffs a couple of years, but he tends to be good against other teams.
Yeah.
For the most part. So yeah, they've got. Kopech and Trinan and Vesia.
Is Gratterall down? We talked about
he definitely went on the IL. I don't know when he's eligible to come back or what his current status is, but they've got a couple of more concerns in the bullpen, I think, than the Padres.
So they also yesterday they had Max Muncy taking grounders at first, but Freddie Freeman was taking swings. So you might see, I don't know what you do there
DH
because
day?
No, Shohei Ohtani's your DH.
Oh, that's right.
You can't do anything else.
Can't do anything else.
So
Good point.
I don't know. I don't know what they will do.
All right, we'll come back. There's one thing that I know that Woods is in the torture chamber about for this series that was announced yesterday. We'll do that. We'll play a little Take on Woods as well. Coming up on 97.3 The Fan. 7 o'clock on 97.3 The Fan, and a good Friday morning to everyone out there. All of our tier ones in the audience except for one guy. Alan in New Guinea. Happy Saturday morning to you.
Oh, my God, it is Saturday.
It is now Saturday. You said the show starts at 11 p.m., so now it's midnight
it's game
in
day,
New
baby.
Guinea. So
game day. Oh, my God,
game
Alan.
day. Alan, let us know who wins, because you're going to be way ahead of us.
So good.
And, Woods can make a little extra change on the game because you're so far ahead of us. So,
Like Back
I
to the
just
Future,
saw,
too.
Yeah. Rod in the chat says, my son's listening to 97.3 from Japan, serving our great country. That is awesome. Thank you, Rod, and thank you, Rod's son in Japan, serving our country right now. So all the tier ones, looking forward to it. I saw the news yesterday, and I knew you wouldn't be happy about it, but Fox has assigned Joe Davis and John Smoltz, not surprisingly, as the announcers for the Padres-Dodgers games in this series.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
There was some discussion, obviously, Joe Davis being the Dodgers announcer. Is he going to be impartial, biased toward the Dodgers? In my opinion, and I heard Tony and Chris talking about this yesterday, they don't have as big of an issue with Joe as you do.
I don't. So just to clarify,
You just...
he for me, if he was the Reds or if he was the Tigers, for me, he is not pleasing. I swear. Listen, on my kids.
He's a competent baseball announcer.
Sure.
You just don't particularly like.
I don't enjoy his style of broadcasting. I swear on my kids, it has nothing to do the fact that he's with the Dodgers. Now, I mean, look. I liked Vin Scully. Vin Scully was fantastic. He was a Dodgers broadcaster. He's a legend. I mean, how could you not like Vin, right?
Honestly,
his voice drives me nuts. That's where it stops.
I feel almost bad for Joe here. Put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that it was Padres Dodgers.
Yeah.
But it was on TBS, and they said, Don, you're doing the games, but you have to
play it down the middle.
You have to play it down the middle. I feel like that would be so hard for Don Orsillo to then tone it down. Like, Nando hits
Ben and Woods, you're doing a national
show,
pre and post game show for this game.
Be down the middle.
Sirius XM, you got to be down the middle.
That's a tough ask.
It is
for
a
anyone.
tough ask. It really is.
And I think because of Joe's very, vanilla nature, he can pull it off.
He's done it.
If there's an announcer who can pull it off. And there's a long home run by Jackson Merrill of the San Diego Padres.
So
Don could. I don't know. Could he turn it off?
He could
turn it off for the Padres.
Yeah,
though?
Don's a freaking pro.
He's that good.
He's that good, dude.
Yeah, he can do it.
So somebody
make it look
played
effortless.
the clip yesterday. I said, "Oh, now I get why you guys don't like Joe Davis." And Joe called the Bryce Harper home run off of Robert Suarez. And huge. Obviously, a huge moment. It was a massive moment. And he called it very excitedly, as he should because of the moment it was. And it was, he's biased. So then they played the moment. There was a pass ball. I think it was in the Mets series. Azokar scores. No, it was the Phillies game. Azokar scores. Tie ball game. Called it perfectly for the Padres. You would have thought he was a Padres broadcaster as well. It's not that he's with the Dodgers. His voice bugs me. That's it. That's where it starts and stops. He puts me to sleep. That's why I call him Sleepy Joe. He puts me to sleep. When I'm listening to their games, I'm like, it's just different. And you get used to your guys. You get used to a certain sound in your ears every night. He's just not. What I don't get is why they said you're the heir apparent. Like you're the national guy. Because, bro, there's Jason Benetti's out there. Like, there's a ton of dudes that can call really, really good games. That's it. That's where it starts and stops. I
was actually maybe going to save this for Don't Do This, but I want to bring it up now because Al Michaels has been getting a ton of criticism on Thursday Night Football for people who are going, yeah, you're low energy. Where's
like
the
80
excitement?
years old.
Where's the excitement in the calls? And he actually went on the Pat McAfee show yesterday and kind of responded to that question. He goes, well, I don't scream the game at you. I don't holler the game at you. Never have. You have to save it for the big moments. Gus Johnson will scream a game at you. Every single moment, he's going to scream. And some people absolutely
Gus,
love
though.
that. I know you like Gus.
I like Gus a lot.
He screams it at you, but, Al says if it's 4-2 and you're yelling, where do you go for 102 to 101? Where do you go? You got to leave some room. CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown. What am I supposed to do? Scream my guts out. Some people say yes. Some people say no. It's a stylistic choice. He says it's a 60-minute game. If you scream your guts out in the first 3 minutes, where are you going for the next 57? I think that makes some sense to me in terms of,
guys,
we're holding something in reserve for the truly special moments.
Let's not get to a place where we are ripping on Al Michaels for being, doing football. I saw somebody yesterday ripping on Bob Costas for doing baseball. And it's like, this guy has called some of the biggest moments in the game's history. He is a legend, and he's still very good at it. So again, I just, for the Dodger fans out there, it's not because he's a Dodger broadcaster. I just don't find him entertaining, and I don't find it very pleasing in my ears, at all. And you throw in an Oral Hershiser with Joe Davis, and it's just smarmy. And now, but in the regular season, right?
With the Dodgers games.
But then you throw in a John Smoltz, who you're like, you hate baseball, bro. I don't know why you're even doing this. It just feels to me, I don't care about bias or anything I really don't. I think it'll be a fair broadcast. I know what to expect from Smoltz, and I think I know what to expect from Joe Davis now, and I'm going to have to take an Adderall just to get through the game.
Counterpoint, just for the sake of the discussion. Who knows the Padres better than Joe Davis?
Right.
Of all the national broadcasters
guys,
to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. He's seen them more. But yeah, somebody made the point. Give me Matty V. And I know he worked here many moons ago.
God, he'd be great.
But Matty V.
Santa Maria.
Josh Lewin is out there. He is a phenomenal baseball man. Like, there's so many guys. I wouldn't mind a different rotation every day.
We talked about this a while back, and somebody messaged us yesterday and asked, hey, maybe a stupid question, but why don't we get Don and Mud in the playoffs?
Right.
Well, the easy answer is because these networks are paying a ridiculous amount.
Sure.
They're going to have their guys. National guys doing it. But couldn't we get to a point where we don't necessarily need as many of the national guys, where Fox, ESPN, whatever, give out one-day contracts or whatever, just at-will contracts to the team employees, the home team guys. I don't care.
At-will employment. And have
you don't
two
need Don
different
and Mud
broadcasts.
for all 5 games, but when they're in San Diego, you get Don and Mud. And then when it goes up to L.A., you get their guys. When you go to Philly, you get their guys.
You could get John Kruk and
I think it'd be
Dan
great.
Schulman or whatever. It would be phenomenal. And then when you go to New York, you get, Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling.
They're Bally Sports employees or whatever all season long, and for a couple of days in October, they're ESPN employees.
I would love
Fox
it.
employees.
I would love it more than anything.
Just the separate audio channel, like they do with Apple, where you can listen to whoever you want. Watch the game on, TBS or Fox, but the audio you can switch it over. I don't know. Maybe it's the sponsors pay for certain things that need to be read. I don't know how it works business-wise.
I don't either. But yeah, an at-will or a separate channel, all right, let me ask Padres fans this. $19.99 you pay, and you get a broadcast with Mud and Don? Done.
Yeah.
It's done.
I think there'd be a market for that. There'd be a market for that, for sure, though. Yeah, but if the rights holder's getting that money.
The rights holder's getting some of that money.
Then maybe, that's what.
So in football, I have 17 different broadcasts I can watch. I've got the analytics nerds in one room. I've got Peyton Manning and his brother talking to Ice Cube on another channel.
Got a kids broadcast on Nickelodeon.
Are those not conflicts?
Yeah, they are. So they can be done. It clearly can be done. All right, we need a contestant for Take on Woods. You want to call right now, 833-288-0973. Play our musical trivia challenge and qualify for a prize coming up. I'll let you know what that is in a second. 833-288-0973. By the way, here is your schedule for tomorrow's Division Series game. Starts at 10:08 with the Tigers and Guardians, Game 1 on TBS True TV. And for you streamers out there, you can get that on Max. And Brian Anderson and Jeff Francoeur, who we just had on the show, will be calling that series from Cleveland, games 1 and 2. And then at 1:08 on Fox, the Mets and the Phillies, game 1 of that series. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies in that one. And your broadcasters for game 1 of that series are Adam Amin and A.J. Przinsky, I believe.
It's tough.
And then at the
I know
third...
that's your guy now because you go on his show all the
I have
time.
been on
but
his show.
That's a tough one.
Third game is 3:38, back to TBS and Max, Royals and Yankees. Michael Wacha against Garrett Cole. That's Bob Costas and Ron Darling.
Fantastic.
And then you got the Padres game at 5:38 on FS1 with Joe Davis and John Smoltz. So that's your lineup for tomorrow. All right, you ready? I see some people calling in.
Go.
Let's get to it. It is time for Take on Woods. All right, Take on Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Let's go to, is this Jim? Or maybe not. Caller? Who's
Hi.
this?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you. Can
You're
you hear
very
us?
quiet.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm Jim.
Jim, do you want to play Take on Woods? Do you have any musical trivia knowledge? Are you going to be able to get this done for us?
Probably not.
All right, then let's just
All right, stay on hold, Jim.
stay on hold. You know, we'll keep the phone lines open. 833-288-0973. This isn't a game for everyone. I do understand that. That's why we play like Real or Fake on Thursdays. I try to open it up. Sometimes we just give away prizes to callers, but if you're just calling in to win a prize and you're trying to do it by taking on Woods, but you don't know music very well, you're not going to win the prize. You're just going to kind of make a fool of yourself. All right, let's go to, let's go to Guy. Guy, I know you know how to play.
I know Guy's calling in for Take on Woods.
Guy, you have snuck in. Sorry, Jim.
Why not?
Why not?
Always there for a backup, right?
Yeah. All right. And your prize on the line today is actually those Clippers tickets that Woods was talking about at Front Wave Arena to see Kawhi and Norman Powell coming to the very first game, first basketball game at the brand new Front Wave Arena at in Oceanside. So that's what you're playing for today. Here are your category choices for Take on Woods. Family Trip, 5 songs and artists that have something to do with taking a trip. Say What, 5 song titles that begin with the word what. And What's Up? That's 5 song titles that begin with the word what's. So those are kind of similar. Family Trip, Say What, or What's Up? Guy, what would you like to play?
Let's try the what? Not
Say What. All right, 5 song titles. They begin with the word what. 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. I know you know how to play, so let's just get to this one. 60 seconds on the clock. Paul, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Guy. Let's take on Woods.
What I Like About You, the Romantic.
Correct. It's the question asked by Hathaway in his 1993 club hit spoofed in a famous SNL skit. What is Love? Correct. Michael McDonald co-wrote, sings, and won multiple Grammy Awards for which 1978 Doobie Brothers classic about a man who just can't face reality.
Pass.
Christina Aguilera swapped out the word needs in the final title of which single from her 1999 debut album that became her second straight #1 hit following Genie in a Bottle?
Pass.
Which 1978 signature song by Miami's Bobby Caldwell was sampled by Tupac Shakur for his final posthumously released single in 1998?
No idea.
All right, go back to Michael McDonald. Co-wrote, sings, and won multiple Grammy Awards for which 1978... Oh, time's up. We got 2. What I Like About You by the Romantics and What is Love. It got a little harder after that. What a Fool Believes. You know I like that one. What a Girl Wants, What a Girl Needs, Christina Aguilera, and What You Won't Do for Love is Bobby Caldwell. So let's bring Woods in after a little bit of a delay there. We got Guy's score locked in. Stay on the line, Guy. Yeah, well, we had Jim, but Jim admitted he doesn't know music, and we just decided let's just call for someone else.
That's right.
All right, 60 seconds back on the clock. No category for Woods. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Guy.
It's What I Like About You by the Romantics.
Correct. It's the question asked by Hathaway in his 1993
What is
club.
Love?
Correct. Michael McDonald co-wrote, sings, and won multiple.
What a Fool Believes.
Correct. Christina Aguilera swapped out the word needs in the final title.
What a Girl Wants.
Correct. Which 1978 signature song by Miami's Bobby Caldwell was sampled by Tupac Shakur for his final posthumously released single in 1998. Get a lot of time for this one. We went so fast on the first.
It's what something.
It
what?
is. You figured it out.
What? Tupac. What? Damn it. I'm out. I don't know.
What you won't do for love, but
Never
you
heard
win
it.
4-2. So
All right.
no worries on that one. Guy, thank you for playing. You can try sometime later in the month of October. All right, we got that category done.
Good.
Now we've
what
got
a taint.
Yeah,
Dominic says.
you could have guessed. It probably is never going to be right, though,
No.
if you keep guessing that. Don't Do This is coming up next. I don't know if you think it's a don't or a do, but I know a lot of people are excited about something that was announced yesterday that is coming to Petco Park in 2025.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a do this.
Okay, that's what I thought,
I think
too.
it's absolutely
I thought
a
so,
do
too.
this. Yeah.
I thought so, too, but I wasn't sure about your total feelings on it.
Can we talk geo-ticketing and don't do this?
Yes, we
please?
absolutely can talk geo.
I can't believe we've waited this long.
Geo-restricted
Oh,
ticketing
my
as well.
God.
Coming up next after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun.
I'm going to give myself the first don't do this today because I forgot to mention earlier when we were kind of setting the menu that we have Kyle Glaser coming in studio for the second half of the program. A little bit after 8 o'clock, he's going to be with us. Obviously, we got Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue right at 8, but then Kyle's going to be sitting in with us from Baseball America, talking Padres, Dodgers, and MLB playoffs, and looking forward to having Kyle in studio.
Did we set any of the guests for today?
No, I don't think we did, actually. We also have Bob Scanlan.
Scanman, the
on
big
a
tall righty.
Friday. Yeah, Mike Schilt's manager's report, just based on their scheduling and everything. He's going to come on a little bit later again today, I believe, with Tony and Chris. Is that the plan?
Yes.
I think so.
That is the plan. So you will get Mike Schilt later today in our manager's report.
I texted Schilte and said, hey, sorry that we're going to miss you tomorrow. Just wish you, great job on the Atlanta series. Good luck on Saturday. And he wrote back, yeah, man, thank you. I really wanted to sleep in. And I go, Schilte, I have that thought every single day of my life. We just wanted to give you a fist bump. And he wrote back a fist bump. And all
living
good.
that Michael King lifestyle today.
Yeah, sleep until 10, which is fine. He deserves it, man. I don't know how anybody can sleep right now, but, he does this a lot, so this is just trying to treat it like another game. But excited to hear him on with the fellas in the afternoon.
All right, you wanted to talk about the geo-ticketing story.
Let's talk about it. Why? Number one, why was it such a big story? And number two, the responses I saw to it were jarring, shocking, jarring. So again, let's talk about why.
This happened 2 years ago.
This happened 2 years ago. Basically, what the Padres want to do is to fill Petco Park with Padres fans, right?
Well, they already have.
They have. The tickets are sold out.
I think there's a misunderstanding as to what is going on here. I get why people think that. I mean, some teams, including the football team at some point who played here, would not like the look of, 35,000 Raiders fans. So they tried to hey, if you want to buy a ticket to this game, you got to buy a ticket to 3 other games that you don't care about to try to keep other fan bases out.
Because who doesn't want to come here to visit?
That's not the case, though, for this game. They've already sold almost all of their tickets to Padres fans. There were 1,000 left. Padres just want to make sure that their fans get that
chance.
First opportunity. They could sell another 50,000 tickets to Padres fans if they wanted. It's not that there's just so many Dodgers fans and not enough Padres fans to go around. They're just providing a little bit of a firewall to help Padres fans actually get those tickets and not be flooded with other people who, haven't been here all season. This is a chance for Padres fans to get their tickets. They're not worried that, that Padres fans don't have interest in this game and they need to keep Dodgers fans out. That's not the case at all.
Well, the funny thing is all you have how many sellouts this year?
56.
56 sellouts this year at Petco Park. Which means you didn't play the Dodgers 56 times, right? Because all I've heard since we started covering the team is, well, you guys would never sell out if it wasn't for Dodger fans, right? So now they say you can't sell out your stadium without Dodger fans. We do it 56 times. And we say, oh, okay, well, we're gonna block you guys from getting tickets. By the way, you can still get tickets on the third party resellers and all that, Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, all that. And then they get mad. Then they call us cowards for doing that. If we wanted to make sure the stadium was full, wouldn't it then be open to everyone? You guys not see the logic that we're working with here?
Hey, Dodgers, if you think if there's 20,000 empty seats at Petco Park that would have been filled by Dodgers fans, go ahead and crow on Wednesday morning.
I promise
when
you.
Petco Park is half empty. Otherwise, you're talking a lot about nothing you know about.
That's exactly right. Well, number one. And number two, your stadium isn't sold out for Saturday or Sunday. There are an assload of tickets available. Yeah. Worry about selling out that place, and then you can worry about what tickets you can and can't get here. Again, we don't need you to sell it out. We've done it 56 times without you. We didn't play you guys 56 home games. Trust me, we didn't. Nothing's like Petco Park. Nothing. Don't need your help. Don't want your help.
Padres just drew close to 140,000 for the White Sox.
Right. The White Sox
set a record.
Correct.
3-game series.
So yeah, you gotta logically, if they had trouble selling tickets, it would be open to you. We don't. We don't have any trouble. Huh?
We're good.
We're fine. We don't need you. We don't need your help to sell tickets. Thanks for coming in, spending your money in the gas lamp, doing the things, the hotels, everything else. It's great. That being said, we don't need you to sell out. And you can even say we don't need you to sell out anymore. Because that maybe used to be the case. But times have changed. Things have changed. Little brother grew up a little bit.
All right, finally a little doo-doo this before our roundtable.
DD mega doo-doo.
And I saw so much interest and excitement, I thought I'd include it here as a do this. Coming to Petco Park next September, September 5th and 6th, just announced on their 2025 World Tour. The Savannah Bananas will be here in town for the very first time. They're going to be playing their unique brand of banana ball at 18 different Major League Baseball stadiums and 3 football stadiums in 2025. Last year, they played in front of 1 million fans around the country. They expect to play in front of 2 million fans next year, and they say their wait list is at 3 million right now. They expect every game, even in these big stadiums, to be completely sold out. They have established a lottery on their website. If you are interested in getting tickets to these Savannah Bananas games, you have to put your name in the lottery drawing for the opportunity to buy tickets to the Savannah Bananas. These guys have become huge.
I got an email yesterday as I was at home, and I'll be honest with you, I was on the toilet, and I was checking my email, and I said, Savannah Bananas, what? I didn't sign up for anything like that. So I walk out, I go, did you sign me up for this? She goes, yeah, they're coming to Petco Park. And I go, why did you sign me up? She goes, I was trying to get as many emails.
2 entries into the
two
lottery.
entries into the lottery. My wife is elated, and I did ask her, I said, now, is this something, and I started to do the preamble. Is this something? And she goes, you don't have to come. I'll take the kids. I said, oh, all right.
You'll be at Clippers training camp or
So
something.
if you're not familiar with the Bananas,
Maybe.
we've talked about it
Maybe.
before. We've had their manager on.
Yeah.
But some of the it's like the Harlem Globetrotters a little bit, but for baseball, where they do some routines. They play a game, but they also do routines and skits, and there's some comedy involved. If a fan catches a foul ball in the stand, it counts as an out.
They're huge,
They
man.
just added another rule, the golden batter, allowing each team one opportunity to deploy any hitter from any spot in the lineup at any time they want.
I probably will go. I think
The Dodgers wish they had that rule. Oh,
here's
Golden
Shohei
Batter.
again. Here he is.
Golden
The son of a
Batter, Shohei Ohtani's coming up again.
I will probably end up going. We tried to watch a little bit on TV, and Bo was kind of into it. Taylor was into it, so I'll go with him. It should be fun. I mean, it's Petco
Looks
Park.
amazing.
You'll probably see Peeve. You'll probably see some legends out there too. So
Trevor
worth it.
Hoffman going to come out or something.
Fans are allowed to challenge calls. That could be a problem in a 45,000
my
seat
God.
stadium.
Yeah, I will probably go if we get tickets. I mean, again, it's going to be pretty heavy. I remember when they played up in like San Clemente or something, and we had the guy on, and we had the PR person's name, and I said, Can I buy 4 tickets? Like my kids are dying to go. This is a couple years ago.
Who do you think you are?
The guy literally laughed at me. He's like, "Yeah, no, sorry, pal, no chance."
If a pitcher throws a wild pitch, on the first 0-0 count, you can steal first. Just take off and try to grab first base before they throw you out. If you're walked, instead of walking to first, you sprint around the bases as far as you can get until they throw the ball to every fielder.
Yeah.
It's kind of a crazy form of baseball.
So
that they
Dynamite
play.
drop in here from Sweet D619 in the chat says, Woodsy had the thinnest legs at the round table yesterday. Don't skip leg day, Mr. Woods. I really don't skip leg day. I mean, we're not all blessed like Ben with giant, thunderous calves. There's nothing I can do about it.
Well, we've got another round table coming up next with some incredibly handsome people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder.
That you set up.
I do have bird legs. There's nothing I can do about it.
But, you invited all of my television competitors to join us in our next segment.
Yeah,
Presumably to talk some Padres.
Yeah, talk some Padres, talk some San Diego sports.
So we've got, who do we have? We have Darnay,
Jake
Garignani,
and Julian.
And Julian Delgado.
Yeah, can't wait.
All going to join us when we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Oh, I see a waiting room full of very handsome and talented people.
Look at this, man. This is how you do it.
San Diego television's finest getting ready to join us on our Ben and Woods Roundtable coming up here. This segment of Ben and Woods, hence this roundtable, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football, and B-Dubs is kicking off football season with 2 limited-time sauces. Their new Buffalo Bacon Sauce for bold notes of smoky bacon, or get the fan favorite hot barbecue before it's gone. Try them at your local B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings Go. We got Jake, we got Darnay, we got Julian, all standing by to join us after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by AleSmith 394 Pale Ale. Just one accident to mention here, guys. South on 15 near West Bernardo. Collision has been cleared into the center divide. AleSmith 394 Pale Ale, the official rally pint of the playoffs. Watch all the San Diego postseason action at the AleSmith Tasting Room in Miramar with game day specials on 394 and more. Root for the home team with other fans while enjoying the game with sound. Don't miss out. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Guess what? Not a single one of them is wearing a tie this morning because it's the morning and we all like to be casual. But let's welcome everybody into this roundtable. I see Julian Delgadio from Fox 5. Julian, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
It's great to have you, Julian. I see Darnay Tripp from NBC 7. Hello, Darnay.
I was so excited that Julian's mic wasn't working as of like 15 seconds ago.
Like he just got it going.
I'm so bummed out we can hear him. Oh, my gosh.
And I see Jake G from CBS 8 because none of us know how to actually pronounce his last name. So why don't you do it for us, Jake?
I feel like it's safe to just go with Jake G, but yeah, Gary Annie works as well.
Gary Annie.
That's safe. That's safe.
I would have never guessed.
There's an extra G in there that's silent.
Every morning.
I'm
not sure how you do this every morning.
You know what, man? I was talking to the guy at the gas station this morning, and he said, heading into work. I go, yep. And I said, you're obviously here. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I wouldn't have it any other way. I said, me neither. I said, it's Friday. And at 10:03, My ass is in the car, and I am going home, and I am done. I am done for the. I mean, I got a family to raise and all that, but essentially, I'm done with work at 10:03. You can't really beat it, fellas. Well, thanks for joining us. We've had a lot of fun talking this week. We wanted to make Ben a little uncomfortable. Ben, are you uncomfortable?
Not at all. Look at how could I be uncomfortable?
Look at these guys.
With these guys?
I know.
They're all friendly.
Super
They're all
friendly.
smiling. They were all nice enough to come on the show today.
Let me start with Julian. So. Julian, you've been in town for how long working in San Diego sports?
Shoot, a little bit over 4 years now.
Okay.
It's been pretty amazing,
It is.
I love San Diego.
It's great, great city. I've been here 15 years in February. Never want to go anywhere else. And I wanted to ask you, so Ben Higgins. Now, you guys, knew Ben Higgins is the elder statesman of television sports.
Where's my cane?
Is he an intimidating fellow? Like the first time you walk in a presser, and there's Ben Higgins over there looking. He can look a little surly at times. Give us your impressions.
I actually thought the first time I saw Ben. And anytime I see Ben, I know there's 6 more weeks of baseball ahead because it's usually near the beginning of the season. Anytime I see Darnay, it's 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Darnay, let's see. How long have you been in town now?
Going on 6 years for me. Yeah, a little bit.
And Jake, what about you?
Like 9 now.
All right.
9 magical years. I've only been on TV for like 4 though.
All right,
talented.
what's cool, and this is, I think you guys are lucky actually because
you know him and he's there to blaze the trail.
No, I mean because what has happened with the Padres, with Peter Seidler and these last couple of years, it was kind of bleak for us sportscasters for a while. After the Chargers left and the Padres were kind of perennial last place team and. The Aztecs were starting to get good in basketball, but this is what you live for, right? As a sportscaster, big events, playoffs, October, people actually caring about what you guys have to say, Darnay. It makes a difference. It makes the job a little more fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no doubt. Like when people are excited, when people are engaged, it makes the job a lot more fun. And I even think just, it's changed since I got here in January of 2019. There was starting to be some excitement around the Padres developing with Manny, with Tatis and those guys. And obviously it's grown, pretty much every single year. But yeah, you mentioned the Aztecs kind of being back to like a perennial NCAA tournament team, the excitement now around the football program. And then, the Loyal started a year later. The Wave came a couple years after that. Now you got MLS. And so the shift that obviously began in like 2017, maybe things stalled out for a couple years, but it's really grown the last few years, and it's been a fun thing to kind of be able to observe and in some small way be a part of.
Now, Darnay, has Ben always been nice to you? That's what I want. That's the info I want. I want to know Ben out in the wild. Like, look, because being in the media, you are competing. You're competing for eyeballs. You're competing for ears. You're competing for ratings, all of that. Radio people are the worst. We hate everyone. Yeah. If you're on another station, we give you the, what's up?
If Ben arranged a radio roundtable with a bunch of our competitors and surprised Woods with it on the air, it'd be the end of Ben and Woods.
It would be a full-scale brawl. And I don't know what it is about, maybe we're
all so nice. I would think, like, if Darnay asked, hey, can you fill in for me on NBC 7 tonight? I'm like, fine. It's fine. We can do this. We can interchange. There's no problem. I mean, we're all... Julian, we're all really friendly.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, we're all really friendly.
I feel like it's broadcasters camaraderie. I think that we all have the same deadlines and the same storylines and all that other stuff. You guys have a crazy wake up though. I got up to get a workout at 6 so I could be fully alert for this at 7. So very San Diego move, I think.
Yeah, very much.
Not me. I did not get up to work out. What people don't realize about the TV folks, though, this is what's funny, is like, first of all, the first time I met Ben, people don't realize Ben's like 7'4". So he's like
huge.
This gigantic human being.
Yes.
Darnay is also like 6'11". So you get around these guys. Julian's like an Adonis. And then like, us normal people on TV come wheeling up to these gigantic, beautiful looking folks. And you're like, I don't know if I really belong here. So for me, fitting in was easy. You just kind of hid in the back corner until Darnay comes and approaches you,
Says the guy of the three of us that might have the best hair.
Yeah, best hair.
And look, I'm looking at his arms now.
Nice big arms, tatted up. He looks sharp.
I don't see this Jake on television. This is great.
Yeah, I have to cover it. I'm fully tattooed, by the way. It's just a heads up.
I just wonder, like, you get in the scrum and there's Ben, he's got his microphone and you're there. You guys are all getting the same stuff. It never gets heated, or Ben, you've never been like, God, there's Julian. Get out of my way, Julian. I need to get this spot.
I mean, when
I do that all the time, actually.
there's a certain element of the positioning when you're trying to stick your mic flag and just get your arm in there. I think it's mostly not because you want to get the good shot. I just don't want my arm to fall off when I'm holding the microphone for too long.
You rested on Julian's head.
I've done that. I've done things like that before. Yeah, absolutely.
He's such a gentle giant. He's allowed to. Darnay's got, he's a basketball guy, so he boxes people out. He really has a presence to him when he's in the clubhouse.
Well, Ben, did you ever tell the elevator story?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
you don't know the elevator story?
No, I've never heard it.
So this was, I think, in 2021. And leaving a Padres game, Ben and I leave at the same time. So we get into an elevator, and it's one where there's staff, there's fans, a little bit of everybody. And Ben and I walk in, and this guy lights up. He's like, Ben Higgins, oh my goodness, Ben Higgins, I watch you every night, bro. I listen to you every morning, bro. Ben Higgins, I can't believe it. This guy's a legend. Oh my gosh. I could have been anybody. He had
a leper.
Zero clue. Ben's got the biggest blank eating grin.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it.
He knows the situation, and this happens all the time where you'll be with another sports guy. Somebody says, hey, I watch you, blah, 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 blah. It's usually like a passing comment. This guy was like effusive and over the top in his excitement about, you'd think like Manny Machado and Tatis just walked in the elevator and like gave them a signed jersey off their back. And Ben, I think we got off the elevator. Ben, big smile, said, "I can't wait to tell that story."
To my credit, I didn't tell it. I don't need to. I don't need to boast and
brag,
toot my own horn.
Darnay, that happened to me just the other day from Paulie. Did Paulie let you know this story? Down on the field at Petco, I told Ben this, or Woods this story. Down on the field at Petco Park, we're all sitting there before the game, right? We're enjoying it. We're chit-chatting in our little groups. And all of a sudden, I see Paulie from afar. I've clocked him, right? And go, okay, here's Paulie. I'm gonna get him with a good kind of dap up and say what's up. Really going to be my moment here to say what's up to Paulie. And he's running by, he's walking by, and I go, what's up, Paulie? And I kind of go out for the dap up. Right by me. He had a hand out, blows right by me, daps up Tony Gwynn Jr. behind me. And that was when I was like, man, one day I got to get famous enough, as famous as Ben Higgins, so I don't get ignored by Paul Reindl. That's my key in life.
You big time, Jake?
He big leagued.
You know what? Tony Gwynn he hit more home runs in the big leagues than you did.
That's true. That's true.
No, I remember it vividly. I was walking right past Jake, but I had already kind of extended my arm for the bro hug with Tony because Jake didn't see Tony behind him. He didn't know that me and Tony had already made eye contact. I'd already committed, and then that's when Jake reached out. I was like, oh no, what do I do here? Do I bail on Tony or do I blow off Jake?
He blew off Jake. Yeah,
it was a smart move. It was a smart move. Stick with the roots. Yeah,
gentlemen. So obviously a huge weekend. We're all kind of making our plans on what we're doing and how to watch. And so tell everybody what you guys have. Start with Julian. We'll go down the line. Julian, where are you going to be this weekend? Are you actually going into the belly of the beast up to Dodger Stadium? Kind of give us what your plans are and where everybody can see you this weekend.
All right, so I'm staying back. I'm anchoring. We're sending our Frank Jefferson up there Saturday and Sunday. I'll be up to LA for Game 5 if necessary. I don't think it's going to be necessary personally, but I might be a little biased on that one.
Go ahead, Darnay.
I'll be back in the shop like Julian. So NBC7 Saturday and Sunday. Derek Togerson, Todd Strain will be making the trip for us this weekend. But really excited. I mean, can't wait.
All right, Jake Garriani with the fake silent
look
G
at,
and
look
N.
at you, baby.
There was a store in Dallas called Garriani Menswear, and I'm going to tell you right now, it was the worst place of all time. Just so you know, it was one of the worst. I think Deion Sanders used to shop there when he lived there.
That's his dad's store.
Yeah, no, it was spelled different, but that's what it reminds me of. So where will we see you this weekend?
The shoe fits, baby. That sounds like it fits me well.
That's
fair.
I'll
be back with the other two for the weekend, and then we'll do the two here at Petco Park. We'll be live there all day, and then back up for a Game 5, as Julian mentioned. But let's hope it's not necessary, man.
All right,
I don't think people understand. You guys know, especially when you leave town and are trying to do a television remote, the logistical challenges of getting those set up and hooked up and being like in a parking lot of an opposing team. Like I had to do the black hole in Oakland for a Chargers Raiders game out there.
Sweet little Ben, dude. Sweet Ben.
It's dicey when you're on television and people are drinking and you got the lights set up. There are some very dicey situations. Does anyone have like a memorable live shot that they want to share? Jake seems to have one.
Ben got run over by a car.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen Ben get hit by the car. Julian and I probably have this similar story from I'll start this, Julian, and then I'll hand it off to you. But Julian and I were in Philadelphia for the NLCS in 22, right? And we decided it'd be a fantastic idea to do our live shot just before the game outside of the bank, which is just all of the Phillies fans going crazy the entire time. And so it's like when you turn the light on out there, just like zombies start coming over to the live shot. And so I'm in the middle of my live shot, and some guy is screaming, and he's calling me an a-hole, and he's like, hey, a-hole, a-hole, a-hole. And the fans are just starting to scream up towards the mic. And then I don't know what I'm allowed to get away with on the stream, but there was a guy who started doing a very unruly gesture behind me in the middle of my live shot, if you will.
Haktua, maybe. Yep.
Something like that.
Right.
And then the fans kind of just swarm and take over the shot. And it was just the most aggressive crowd I've ever been in. And some guy like is screaming into the mic, and I eventually at the end of the shot I go, what gives, man? Why you gotta be like that? And he ends up being the nicest dude in the world. He would later take Julian out for beers and Philly cheesesteaks. I'm still friends with this dude to this day. I'm still really good friends with this guy. And it was Philly in a nutshell, man. And this guy was like just treating us like garbage. And then the nicest dude in the world takes us out. And then I'll let you take over, Julian, because I know you guys.
Honestly, it was like an unbelievable experience. Like Citizens Bank Park was just like a hornet's nest. I mean, in between pitches, everything else, like these guys live and breathe, the Phillies. That being said, I got written up for my horror story, so I won't go too much into detail on what happened, but it was an epic trip to say the least. And I had a live shot right in front of the ballpark, and a young Phillies fan flipped me the bird, right? And he had this little smile on his face. I'll show you guys the photo of it sometime when we're all together.
Please do.
So we get bounced from Philly, obviously, and people are screaming in your ear, everything else. Like it's just a raucous live shot. So I think it's smart to go to Twitter with this photo of this little kid.
Oh no!
And the bird, and I go, "Thanks for the memories, Philly." Not thinking
brilliant
that,
tweet, by the way.
Barstool picked it up, and like all these other the New York Post wrote about it.
Oh my God!
Insensitive I was towards.
Oh my God!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Well, thanks a lot for giving Adam Klug the idea that you can actually write people up for stuff that you put on Twitter, because I'm probably not going to make it through the weekend. We are out of time, gentlemen. You guys crushed it. That was so much fun.
That was fun. That was actually really fun.
Let's not wait so long to do it again. And listen, if they keep winning, we got to do it for the next series. That's how it goes. Sorry.
All right, and just to remind everybody, for the best coverage in town, ABC 10 News.
Hey, before we let you guys go, keep crushing it. You guys are awesome at what you do.
Thank you.
And all of San Diego is appreciative of you guys.
I appreciate
honestly,
you guys.
Great work, you guys.
That was awesome.
Thanks,
Great
guys,
seeing
man.
you guys.
Good to see all of you.
Thank you.
Julian, Darnay, and Jake.
I love that.
They are all truly, really great guys.
Gentlemen.
And good at what they do as well. And that was actually a lot of fun.
That was a friggin' blast,
to set that up. Our Ben and Woods TV caster roundtable.
Now I'm panicked because the three of us are going to Philly next year.
Oh, yeah.
For a game. We're going to get
Who
killed.
knows? Maybe in a week or two as well.
Oh, boy.
All right, we're back with Jordan Shusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue, next year on 97.3 The Fan.
The Padres have had
my friends. We are halfway home on a Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. That was one of the my favorite segments we've ever done. That was such a blast. Thank you again to Jake and Julian and Darnay for joining us. And thank you to Ben, as always, for being a great sport. And I like that you got your plug in there at the end. And they were very effusive in their praise for the elder statesman here of San Diego sports television.
On TV, we have the graphics. Well, we have them on our YouTube stream as well, where you have the name, and then we have the identifier below the name. I feel like it's just been Ben Higgins, great sport.
Yeah, Ben Higgins, great sport.
Great sport. He's just a professional. Oh, you're such a great sport, Ben, for dealing with this and dealing with that and putting up with this and putting up with that.
It's true.
That was actually a lot of fun.
That was a blast, all in the name of good and entertaining radio. That's what we try to provide for you every single day. Paulie Reindl here is the executive producer, Ben Higgins, as I mentioned, and we're joined by our pal Kyle Glaser. Great to have you in here talking some baseball with us.
Absolutely. This is the best time of year.
Ever.
Postseason baseball, this is the pinnacle. I mean, don't get me wrong. College football season, NFL, it's all exciting.
They can wait.
Postseason baseball is where it's at, and it's always so much more exciting when the Padres are in it.
No question.
And I found out Kyle actually very familiar with our regular Friday guest, has known him for a while now, and joining us from Cleveland, from the, well, they used to call it the Jake. Now I think it's a Progressive Field where the Cleveland Guardians begin their American League Division Series today against the Detroit Tigers, or tomorrow. We've got Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue, our weekly segment brought to you by Grand Old Barbecue. Jordan, how is the mistake by the lake treating you?
Oh, wow. What an intro. Good morning, friends. Yes, I am staring out over beautiful Progressive Field where in a few hours the Tigers and Guardians will take turns doing their little pre-ALDS workout ahead of what is the first ever matchup between these two teams in the postseason, and the first ever matchup between two AL Central teams in the postseason.
Ever? Like that? This is the first time?
For this time. First time. We've never seen two AL Central teams play in the postseason since the division was formed in 1994. And that's all you need to know. And the fact that we are a Royals upset away from an all AL Central ALCS is really something shocking.
Yeah, Rob Manfred is just sucking down Tums and Mylanta this morning.
Central's completely gone from the National League.
Yeah, Central's out of it. Now, we always made the joke, at the beginning of the year when we're looking at the teams and we're like, God, if the Padres played in the Central, we would run away with it every year. But in the AL this year, you look at it and you go, holy crap, great pitching, great defense, great young stars. I mean, there are guys there. Tarek Skubal is a must-watch. He is a have-to-tune in. Cole Reagans is a must-watch. Bobby Witt Jr., a must-watch. Emmanuel Clase for the Guardians. I mean, Jose Ramirez. There's tons of star power, and I would say, honestly, kind of a different brand of baseball. But, man, it is really, really exciting to see all of those teams in it.
Absolutely. And for this matchup in particular, it is funny because Cleveland, for all the success that they've definitely had, over the last decade, they knew almost in every case they're coming in with the underdog, role, right? That's just generally how it's worked. And now here they are as 2 seed, as the team that kind of stayed ahead of the rest of this surprisingly competitive AL Central for the entire season. And then the Tigers, who have just, kind of captured the hearts of everybody that is watching them that isn't a fan of another AL Central team, especially after they were the ones, to end Houston's season. So I'm really excited to see, especially with the way both these teams use their bullpens. There's going to be a lot of managerial buttons pressed over these next few games.
Hey, Jordan, what's up, man? It's Kyle. So I want to ask, the Tigers in particular, their pitching staff has been absolutely dominant since August 5th, a 2.71 ERA, best in the majors by nearly half a run. And what's been crazy is how they've done it. We obviously know Skubal's a stud, going to win the Cy Young, but it's been a lot of mixing and matching and openers. Casey Mize has not been great. Reese Olson was hurt, just recently came back, still getting stretched out. What do you make of how they've been able to piece everything together, and how much has AJ Hinch been, kind of the puppet master, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to kind of talk to AJ about that today. I mean, it's cool about how kind of upfront he's been about their strategy. There's no hiding, what they're trying to do. And now that we've gotten to this truly one game at a time, like we are here to win today, it has worked. And I mean, you've seen some of this from Cleveland. Votes talked about this all year, where it's like all these relievers are ready to pitch in any role. But Detroit's certainly taken it to an absolute extreme when you have guys like Bo Brisky and Tyler Holton, who are both closing games and opening games. I mean, that's something that's a little more extreme than what Cleveland's doing. It is really, something to behold, and you just wonder how much longer they can really keep it up. But now you have more off days, you got more rest between these outings, and in theory they can keep this rolling. But I think one of the big keys for this series is, besides Skubal and then Tanner Bybee for Cleveland, who else is going to give either of these teams significant length?
Right.
I think that's a real X factor. Do teams even do they want that? Or is the plan from the beginning just going to be, let's just roll through as many relievers as possible?
Talking to Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue here on a Friday morning. And Jordan, let's turn our attention to the Padres and the Dodgers. And there's been this obviously a lot of hype right now surrounding the Padres and how they've been playing. A lot of people are picking them, but words have meaning, and the Dodgers are starting to try, and their fans are trying to portray themselves as the underdogs in this series. But you can't do that when you're favored in Las Vegas. You're the number one seed. You have
home field
better
advantage.
odds to win the World Series. You have home field advantage. Words have meaning, and we're pushing back on this notion that the Dodgers are not the favorites in this series. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's that's pretty reasonable. They did end up with the best record in baseball, and I think it is. And I'm curious your guys' perspective on this. How this is not just the last week or so. Like, there are a lot of people, me included, who have gone on our respective podcasts or written this saying about how much we like this Padres team, regardless of their opponent, and just how complete it looks. So I view it as more of a reflection of the confidence in the Padres as much as trying to treat the Dodgers like an underdog, which, to your point, is just patently absurd, regardless of, maybe some of the faults in the roster that we weren't necessarily expecting when we talked about them at the start of the season. But for all of that, they ended up with what we expected in March, which was the best offense in baseball and the best record in baseball. Like, they still ended up at the end of the season with that, even though they didn't win 110 games like some people maybe have expected. And so to that point, it's like, that's fine. There doesn't have to be an underdog. These are just two amazing teams, and we should all be very fortunate that we get to, kind of watch them square off again for the third time here in the postseason over the last few years, which is really, really something amazing.
Talking to our pal Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue. I said it yesterday on our 97.3 The Fan Roundtable, brought to you by Roundtable Pizza. It's pizza royalty. Jordan, that I'm going to be so interested to see, obviously I love seeing the great players square off. I love it. But Mike Schilt v. Dave Roberts is going to be theater, how they both deploy. Because, again, and Ben made a great point yesterday. He said, look, everyone's loving on Padres bullpen right now, and Tanner Scott and Jason Adam and blah, blah, blah. Dodgers are pretty good back there. They got some guys that throw really, really hard, can get a lot of swing and miss. They have pretty elite stuff. How they're going to deploy them, especially Dave, because you talk about the Padres have your more traditional starters that could potentially give you some length out of their, top three guys. But the Dodgers really don't with Yamamoto and Jack Flaherty. Maybe Walker Buehler threw 6 his last time out. But you look at this. How aggressive do you expect Dave Roberts to be in these games?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that I think for all we talked about, we're so worried about the Dodgers starting pitching, and I think some of that is valid. I do think that their bullpen is being overlooked, especially since they've added Kopech. I mean, there are some real guys back there, and that is not an insignificant thing. But to your point, I mean, boy, we've seen every version. Because we see the Dodgers in the postseason every year. Yeah. We have seen Dave Roberts press some great buttons, and we've seen some horribly timed. You get the whole spectrum of moves in the postseason, and such as the blessing and the curse of being there every single season. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Is how much does he think that these guys can cover versus being willing to turn it over? And then I mean, with Yamamoto in particular, when you have that factor of maybe we're only going to be able to use him once in this series compared to maybe the CS, and I know swapping him from game 2 to game 1 maybe has something to do with that. You're absolutely right. I think for both of those, and for San Diego also, when in theory that bullpen is a strength, but so is the starting pitching, you can imagine a scenario we've already seen a few times this postseason where Michael King looks amazing again, and then they pull him after 5, and you're like, what are we doing? That's kind of what postseason baseball is right now, is that that constant back and forth.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that
we
is
saw
not just
last
exclusive
night
to
with
these
Tobias Myers coming out after 5
Sure.
innings. And, I mean, Quintana's
Sure.
pitch count was a little higher, but then they bring in Buto, and he gives up the 2 home runs. This all goes back to Kevin Cash, and I want to get Kyle's perspective on this as well, pulling Blake Snell in the World Series. And you would think that because it didn't work out, everyone would go, we can't do that anymore. No, we're just seeing it more and more and more in the postseason, where starting pitchers are going to go shorter
Freddie
and shorter
Peralta
and shorter.
68 pitches the other day.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Milwaukee and Toronto last year, and that's why when you think about the two teams here with Detroit, Hinch has it made, because he's like, listen, they're in no secret of it. We're taking this so far to the extreme that this is what you are expecting us to do from the beginning. There's no hiding about it, so that when you get to a point when you are pulling your starter after one time through the order, or your bulk guy after one time through the order, we're not even blinking, because it's like, well, that's the plan. But when you do have those traditional starting pitchers which you're expecting to stay in the game longer, I totally agree. It is funny, you think like, oh, well, they'll never do that again. It's like, no. In some ways, teams are just even more empowered to try that strategy, and sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't.
And that's the thing. The truth is, a lot of it just comes down to your personnel. You mentioned the Tigers. They kind of have to do it because Casey Mize has not been effective. Reese Olson was hurt. Kyler Montero, who was their second best pitcher down the stretch besides Skubal, they didn't even put him on the wild card roster. But we've seen teams that have the horses that can go deeper and pull them early, and it rarely actually works out. And it's so funny to me. It's people look at the numbers, they get scared a third time through the order, but you have to manage to the situation, to the game. Talk about Blake Snell, that not working. And particularly with the Dodgers, Jordan, I want to get your thoughts on this, because being out here on the West Coast, covering baseball from a national lens out here, I think is a little different perspectives than doing so from the Central like you. I've watched up close as Dave Roberts, who is a fantastic manager, great with connecting with players, understands the media, understands the game and strategy, has really botched his playoff bullpen decisions again and again and again. I think about 2019 Nationals Game 5, bringing in Kershaw, giving up the homers.
Moment chaser, man. I think chases the moment.
I think about 2021, bringing Julio Urias in Game 2 against Atlanta on his throw day when they needed their pitchers in bubble wrap because they were so short of starters, and that was a poor decision. I think about 2022, pulling Yency Almonte with a 1-0 count and bringing in Alex Vesia for Jake Cronenworth. I mean, it's just again and again and again.
Yes, but when Bruce Bochy does it, it works, and they win a World Series.
And that's the thing. It's like...
There.
It's so weird.
But I mean, so I'm curious about your perspective, because I think our perspective is, and mine in particular, Dave Roberts, great manager, consistently botches bullpen decisions in the postseason. How do you guys see it?
I think it's a fair point, and I do think, though, that Roberts is kind of in his own class now, just because of how many times we've seen this go wrong. But also, maybe that would be the case for other managers that were in the postseason literally every season.
Yeah.
So I don't really – now, that doesn't make it any more painful when, all different flavors of these decisions end up backfiring, because to your point, these are all slightly different scenarios, but always feels like it was just slightly the wrong time. And so we might be heading towards that again. I do still think in most cases with most managerial things, you do have to think first about the personnel involved. And so depending on how all these games shake out, we might be in a situation where it's just like, listen, these were his best options here. I think you could say that about some of the Mets situations and Brewers over the last couple of days, which is also interesting. So I think it's valid. Again, I don't think managers they certainly should not be absolved of criticism, because this is when their choices matter the most, of course. So I think that's totally fine and natural for people to react that way. But with Roberts in particular, it's just like, man, it's when we're seeing it every year, that is is that a reflection of him as a manager? Maybe. Is it also a reflection of he's just in these spots every year when literally no other manager has been in the spotlight to that degree?
Opportunity to make mistakes
will
lead to mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jordan, appreciate it. Enjoy the time in Cleveland and that series between the Tigers and the Guardians, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, brother. Have fun, man.
Our weekly Cespedes Family Barbecue segment. Of course, they're with Yahoo Sports as well. Brought to you by Grand Ole Barbecue at North Park, Flynn Springs, at the ballpark. Always in the mood for some of their brisket. It is absolutely fantastic. And I almost just realized it as you were saying it, Kyle, that Dave Roberts, who obviously kind of grew up in the Bruce Bochy kind of school of managing, Boch did that all the time. Did it with the Giants. You can go to Mad Bum and you pull guys on short rest and you put them in relief and starters.
Crazy.
And it worked for Boch. And that's
There's the difference.
I'm going to do what Boch did because he's the best postseason manager, and he keeps chasing these Boch moments, but no one makes it work like Boch has done.
I think the biggest thing is Bochy was more opportunistic and did a better job of assessing situation. He did that with Madison Bumgarner in Game 7 of a World Series, where you have to win. 2021, Game 2 of the NLCS, you bring in Julio Urias in relief when you do not need to. You just go, boom, Trinan, Gratterall, Jansen, game is over.
It's over.
I think about it. So to me, it's about there's nothing wrong with there are certain times to be desperate. Using Max Scherzer Game 5 of the NLDS against the Giants 2021. Yep. Absolutely, go for it. That is a must-win. Go home. Let's do this right now. But consistently, there have been times where he does things he does not need to. Go back to Game 5 of that 2019 NLDS. I was there covering it against the Nationals. They had it set. Adam Kolarek can handle Juan Soto and is probably a better person to do so. You do not need to bring in Clayton Kershaw in that situation. Gives up back-to-back bombs. And then once they get into extras, he left Kenley Jansen way too long. He was done 2 batters before the Howie Kendrick homer. So I think with Dave Roberts, because he loves his players so much, he tries to put them in these moments to something special.
Moment chaser. Always has been.
And in reality, you have to be smarter about, do we really need to do this? And I think that's a difference between what Bochy did versus what Roberts did. Bochy was better at picking out his opportunities to do it.
With no feelings involved. He wasn't getting Mad Bum in there because, well, I just really love Mad Bum and he deserves this. It was, he's our literal best option to get us through these last, whatever, how many outs he got. And listen, hopefully he doesn't figure it out anytime soon. And we keep rolling because he's got plenty of weapons down there, and again, depending on how Yamamoto does in the first inning, this is what you want him. You want to get to him really, really early. You want to get into that really good bullpen in the 3rd or the 4th inning so that not only can you try to score off them, but you get to see them over and over and over, potentially for the next 5 nights.
We've got a question from Viva Padres in the chat to wrap up this Dave Roberts conversation. He asked, does Dave Roberts get fired if the Dodgers are eliminated by the Padres? And while it seems kind of crazy, a guy who wins, average of over 100 games every year.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question. I don't think the Dodgers will have any other moves to make other than trying to change the manager. They've signed every player that they can sign.
Yeah, you say that until Juan Soto's in Pantone blue next year. And, I mean, bro, if they don't do it this year, again, this is their... Let's go to break. We'll come back and talk about it because I think there's a valid combo.
I want to ask Kyle about the decision by the Dodgers to switch their starting pitchers and why they did that and what he thinks it means as well. We will get to that coming up next after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, here we go.
Black 17 on.
That is my number.
All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, here we go.
Black 17 on.
That is my number.
All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, so some different thoughts here on whether Dave Roberts can survive another postseason failure for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And what does that postseason failure mean? I mean, if he beats the Padres and then they lose to...
That's a failure.
Okay. I mean,
I'm going to push back on that. The thing is, the Phillies are the best team in this field. Even though the Dodgers are the one seed,
Yeah.
I think anyone who looks objectively at the roster construction, the Phillies are the better team. I think as long as the Dodgers win this division series,
Their World Series. It's Dave Roberts' World Series.
He's fine because, here's the thing, the Dodgers know this is not their World Series team. With the state of their starting pitching,
True.
they understand that. And they say, okay, next year we get Ohtani back. Yamamoto, Glasnow. Next year is the year where they say, we are a World Series team with a World Series rotation. They know this is not that year.
Well, it's baseball, so Dave can do everything right. But if Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman go, 2 for 27 in the series, they're losing anyway. And it would have nothing to do with Dave Roberts at all.
Correct. And that's a scenario where I think then it starts to become a little bit dicey. But the thing is this, Dave Roberts and the Dodgers front office work really, really well together. He has the universal respect of his players. He has the track record, and he has a lot of respect in the game. With the strength of the relationship, I think it would be very, very, very unlikely he is fired after this season unless the Dodgers come out and show no fire whatsoever as they did in 2022. If that's the case, that's the only scenario where I see they even think about it.
Well, and Skip Schumacher exists now, and Skip was a Dodger. I played for the Dodgers. West Coast.
We don't like to talk about
West Coast guy. Yeah, no, it's going to be the end of my career. I'm going back to 94.
Now, the fans could have a say in this as well, because sometimes the outcry gets so loud, a team has to respond and do something. I don't know if Dodger fans are going to go that direction.
I don't know that Andrew Friedman really
They won't be
cares.
happy. If the Padres beat him again in the playoffs, they will have an unhappy fan base.
They will.
Yeah, to say the least.
They absolutely will.
And sometimes you have to appease an unhappy fan base in a way that you may not have necessarily decided on your own, but someone has to be the ritual sacrifice when that happens.
I will say from a financial standpoint, though, the Dodgers know they're going to sell out next year. So it's not like not firing him is going to cause them a financial hit. They're still going to sell it every game. So I think, look.
They are printing money right now. Printing money.
If Dave Roberts, brings in Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the 6th inning of Game 3 because, it's his throw day for, okay, then we might have to really look at things. But the thing is, he's already kind of done some of that stuff.
And he still survives.
So I just think, again, so much is interpersonal dynamics with the front office. We see so many managers who are objectively successful, but because someone in the front office doesn't like something, they let them go.
Sure.
And there's other managers who just have 9 lives because the 1 or 2 key decision makers like him and believe he's the guy, whether he actually is or not. I do feel like Dave Roberts, the relationships he has are so strong, and given the state of the Dodgers this year and them kind of knowing internally this is not their World Series team, I do think he'll be okay.
Now, the decision to flip-flop Jack Flaherty and Yoshinobu Yamamoto doesn't seem like a Roberts decision. It was Andrew Friedman who said it yesterday. Feels like a front office, we're making this change. The reason they stated was so Yamamoto could come back in Game 5, or at least the flexibility to bring him back in Game 5 on an extra day's rest. Yeah. You could also go with Flaherty on 4 days rest in Game 5. Does that make sense to you, Kyle?
Yes, it's not the whole story. The whole story is Yoshinobu Yamamoto has the most dominant stuff of anyone on this staff, and he also has the best big game history of anyone on this staff. And that was in Japan.
Wow.
But he has it. Yeah. He was lights out there. So for them, even though he's coming off of his injury, he's still building up his innings. He just went 5 innings for the first time in his last start since coming off the IL. You say, who's our guy with the best stuff? Who's our guy with the best big game track record? Who's the guy that if we get to a Game 5, we want on the mound? The answer is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. No disrespect. Jack Flaherty is a great pitcher. Walker Buehler has the history of doing it, but he's nowhere near the same pitcher after his second Tommy John surgery. So that's why they did it, and it's understandable.
Has Yamamoto really? I mean, the biggest game he's probably pitched was the first one in Korea. All eyes. He's in Asia.
Japan,
in Japan.
Yeah, no. I mean, but as a Major League Baseball player, he doesn't had a lot of big games for the Dodgers this year.
He had a lot of games.
Yeah, that first one in Korea where all the eyes were on him, and he did not do well in that game. Now that was March, which you can kind of throw out the window a little bit, but Padres hit him pretty well both times they faced him.
They were the only team. If you look after that Korea game, he was excellent. He was dominant.
He's been good.
And a lot of it was just he was really cruising, then he just got hurt. And since he came back, he's been building back up. So I think, again, and it's more than just what he's done in the major leagues, it's what he did in Japan, facing, great competition again and again and again, what he did in the Japan series. It's not just about big games, it's about mindset. It's about confidence. It's about all these X factors that are hard to really measure. And the best thing you can do is rely on the track record. And he has the track record.
Yeah, he's good. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a really good pitcher.
Yeah, no.
That's why you spent $300 million to get him here.
I mean, the richest contract in Major League history for a guy who never pitched in Major League innings.
You don't throw that at a scrub. You know, you just
no,
know it.
and I get it. He's good. He's got good stuff. I wonder where that confidence goes when Fernando Tatis Jr. in the first inning hits 113 miles an hour.
I sure hope so.
And that's the thing, right? We can talk all we want about the strategy and why they did X, Y, Z. It comes down to how the players
Execution.
perform
Yeah.
in the moment on the field. There's plenty of times teams do things that are the right decisions that logically make sense, are
right
backed
process.
up by
Yep.
data and facts, and then guys just get beat. That's life. That's sports.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think this is the right decision. That doesn't mean the Padres couldn't come out and just bomb him in the first inning. They're a great offense. Just on the flip side, there's a chance Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman go 2 for 27. It's also possible Ohtani comes out and hits 5 homers in 4 games.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just going to come down to great players, head-to-head, mano-a-mano, who comes out on top.
Yep.
All right,
Can't wait.
We're going to take a timeout. Paulie does have a Reindl Report. It is baseball-focused with Kyle here, including the news we haven't even brought up yet. Terry Francona and what was announced yesterday and reported yesterday. So we will get to that coming up next. Don't go anywhere. More Ben and Woods on the way on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Now we got a full house. I mean, we've got Kyle Glaser in studio from Baseball America. We had all the TV anchors in earlier. We had Jordan Shusterman on, and still coming up, top of the hour, Friar Friday, the tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Bob Scanlan is going to be on the program as well. And don't forget to come out to AleSmith tomorrow in Miramar. Got a very special Ben and Woods show, 2:30 to 4:30, getting you ready for the playoffs. AleSmith 394 Pale Ale, the official rally pint of the playoffs. You can watch all of the postseason action at AleSmith at the Tasting Room in Miramar with game day specials on 394 and more. They're going to have the audio up. They're going to have the giant TV, the huge 74-incher that they just put in, and all their other TVs showing the game as well. It's an official spot to watch. Tomorrow, though, 2:30 to 4:30, Ben and Woods, AleSmith in Miramar. All right, Paulie's got a Reindl Report, some headlines coming up for us right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by AleSmith 394 Pale Ale. Still clearing an accident in North County, northbound side of 15 before Valley Parkway. A couple vehicles involved. They're over to the right shoulder. Stalled car on South 5 Coastline past Tamarack. It's partially in a slow lane. Also getting reports of a possible fire starting up near the Pershing on-ramp to northbound 5. AleSmith 394 Pale Ale, the official rally pint of the playoffs. Watch all of San Diego postseason action at the AleSmith Tasting Room in Miramar with game day specials on 394 and more. Root for the home team with other fans while enjoying the game with sound. Don't miss out. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
right.
Gentlemen, good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning.
Extra gentlemen.
Kyle, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
All right. Got a couple of baseball stories. We haven't even discussed it at all this morning. I was a little bit surprised it stayed on the board this long. But Terry Francona coming back to
Tito.
manage the Cincinnati Reds. They announced a 3-year contract yesterday, and I love Tito. He's
the greatest,
such
man.
a good manager,
Greatest.
such a good human being. But I was so surprised because I thought he was done.
They did the pull the Urban Meyer.
The Bruce Bochy.
Not a bit. He was he was ill. He was out. He missed so many games for the Guardians because
he
he
just
was
said,
ill.
I can't do this anymore.
I cannot do it.
Sometimes just take a reset and
Yeah.
look. This game is addicting. Once it has its claws in you,
You're done.
That you want to keep going. So I
Well,
mean, it's
This
not
is a
shocker.
coup for the Reds, though.
I think so.
This is a
Yeah,
coup.
I
yeah.
think so. And I wondered how Reds fans felt about it because, there's always the tendency to, hey, let's get younger and let's modernize and this and that. And I thought they made some really interesting moves last offseason, bringing some good guys in, and they've got a good core of young players. And I think Tito with that group of with Ellie De La Cruz, are you kidding me, dude? I think that guy's gonna do some special stuff. But it's the old Buster Posey thing too. I'm retiring to spend more time with my family, and then you go spend more time with your family, and you're like, I need another job.
Get me out of here.
I'll do whatever I need to do.
I think, and Kyle, you tell me if you agree. I think David Bell got a little bit David Ross as well.
Yeah,
Not a bad
maybe.
manager, but they had someone that they realized they could get, and then they decided, all right, you're out the door because we got something better we can steal.
You
here.
think they knew they had a shot at
I
Tito?
think the fact that they've announced it this
Wow.
quickly, they absolutely knew they were hiring Terry Francona when they fired David Bell last week.
I think really he got Rick Renteria. It happened to Rick twice with
absolutely.
both Chicago times. I think this is something where, like you said, Wizzy, the Reds have a really good, talented group of young players that they're just trying to get to that next level. And Tito is the manager who can do that. He can help these guys get to that next level, play more cohesively, and ultimately become a postseason team. The talent base is there. Now they've just got to mature and grow in the game.
Bro, I'd let Tito raise my kids. I mean, that's just a guy you trust, like, immediately. And every guy that's ever played from, maybe except for Trevor Bauer, would say, this is the guy. This is the guy. I mean, he is beyond revered.
A lot of
the
time
game.
in Ohio now, though.
Yeah,
I was going to say, is that a rivalry, Cleveland and Cincinnati?
I mean,
like,
Guardians fans are not happy.
Not being in the
They're not
same
happy.
league, but in the same state, I'd imagine there's some feelings going on there.
Yeah.
No,
Guys-
like you said, it's like, oh, hey, I'm done dating, and then they go date someone else a year
Yes,
later. It's
yes.
not the best feeling.
That's exactly right. I mean, you walk away, hey guys, I'm quitting radio. I can't do it anymore. And then it's me and Hillary in the morning, in the afternoons on 91X. You guys would be pretty hot at me after 6 months or whatever. But yeah, man, it's just I'm happy for him, and he's a really, really good manager and a great person.
All right, so we were talking about Yamamoto most of the morning, the pitching change that the Dodgers announced for Game 1 of the NLDS.
Yep.
I want to ask about another very successful Japanese pitcher because sources from ESPN, Jeff Passan, putting it out there today that Tomoyuki Sugano is going to be heading to Major League Baseball after his Japanese career. Now, he turns 35 years old next week, but he's one of the most successful pitchers in the Japanese Baseball League history.
If only we had somebody.
Should we get Kyle Glaser on the phone?
Get Kyle Glaser on the phone.
That's right.
I believe
book him for our next segment.
If I'm not mistaken, Kyle Glaser wrote the scouting report on this young man. Well, this
Yeah, no,
middle-aged
I've
man.
actually known him for a while. He pitched the gold medal game of the 2017 World Baseball Classic, Japan and Team USA, or sorry, semifinal, I should say, Japan, Team USA back at Dodger Stadium. So we did get a look at him there, and yeah, I covered him for years, wrote the report on him when there were rumors he was coming out a few years ago. At this point in his career, this is more of the veteran who knows how to pitch. The stuff is all fine across the board. There's nothing electric here, right? It's not like he throws 98, 99. It's not like he has this ridiculous slider curveball. It's a 4-pitch mix, good command, knows how to mix and match, knows how to move up and down.
Sounds like a number 3.
Again, that's kind of the idea here. Again, this isn't, Yamamoto 26 with premium stuff across the board. This certainly isn't Roki Sasaki, early 20s, throwing 100 with sliders from hell. This is the situation where, hey, get a veteran, bring him in here, hopefully get 3 errors out of him.
Sounds like a red, to be honest with you. Tito Branco sounds like a red. He's a red.
Yeah, again, veteran starter who can help someone. He's not going to be your ace, but like I said, a 3-4 veteran presence, knows how to pitch. He can help you.
What happened to Roki Sasaki?
That's what I was just going to ask you, because there's somebody in the chat said Roki's not coming next year. Nobody really knows, though, right? There's a lot of speculation.
Right. So the biggest thing with Roki Sasaki is the way the posting system works. It doesn't make sense for his team to let him go before he can become a full free agent, so they can before he can get that 6-7 year mark, because then they get a massive posting fee.
Does he have any control over that to say, I don't want to play here, I want to go to the big leagues?
And that's the tough part. Ohtani had a negotiated part of his contract because he was being scouted in high school by major league teams, and so when he signed with Nippon Ham, it was part of his contract that he can leave whenever he wants. We don't know if Sasaki has that clause. Japanese contracts are not public like they are in the U.S., so no one really knows if he has that. That's why there's so much speculation. Is he, isn't he? Because he wouldn't be eligible under the posting system for his team to get the max amount till, I believe, 2026. So that's why it comes down to if that clause is there. And no one knows.
Chance in the chat says he said from his mouth that he wants to stay in Japan one more year. Okay, so I didn't see that, and I'm glad that Chance did.
But one more year would still be 1 year short of his post, right?
And again, that's where it's going to come down to conversations between him and his club, what arrangements they're willing to make. And ultimately, the way the Japanese professional contract system works is unless he has their written clause, it's up to his club. His club can say no. I mean, that's their right. It wouldn't be in their best interest to take off their best pitcher.
As good as he is, though, is the maximum value for a team. If you could get him under the international signing rules,
sure,
give him the max bonus, but that's all you have to give him. You control him for 6 years, a potential ace pitcher that you can put right into your rotation. That's like signing a DeVries, but he's ready to go now, versus the posting system where you may have to pay $300, $400 million. That's a totally different scenario.
And that's why teams are hoping that he can come over. It's the same thing as Ohtani. Ohtani signed for $2.3 million, the max in the international cap, and was under Angels' control for 6 years. That's what you are hoping for. That's what every team dreams of. It's just going to come down to, again, will Sasaki's team, does he have that clause in his contract where he can come out and do that?
By the way, if there was a DH in the National League, he would have been a
He would have
Padre
been here, man.
and
Yeah,
not an
at the
Angel.
time.
And maybe still a Padre today.
All you purists out there, you just Ben was one 6 years ago. I like pitchers hitting.
I think that's the only thing that really
It's your
stopped
fault.
him from signing with
This
the
is all
Padres.
your fault.
I really do.
There's no question that is what swung it heavily in favor of AL teams.
Could have
Keep
been
in
the
mind
Dodgers,
the
too.
Dodgers
Yeah.
were very, very, very involved. So,
But AJ Preller learned Japanese.
You say that, it doesn't matter. This guy,
at the time, the Dodgers were a more winning team than the Padres were.
Yes.
Given his desire to win at that
Well,
time,
then he went to the
He went to the
Angels.
Angels.
Right, but you have to
But in
remember,
the American League.
but at that time, the Angels were only 2 years off a postseason appearance, had
Fair.
a healthy Mike Trout.
Fair.
It was a
Yeah.
different scenario.
Again,
Yeah, it was.
AJ learned Japanese.
Ben is very impressed by that.
Yeah.
I
It
am
is
too.
impressive.
It's
It is
impressive.
impressive.
Yeah,
It is
100%.
impressive.
You do what you got to do.
Finally, I have one of my favorite updates to a story, maybe of all time in Reindl Report history.
This
on
is
Ben
an
and
all-timer,
Woods.
yeah.
Okay, so this was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that
Yeah.
we talked about. You probably saw the video footage of the Jane's Addiction concert that ended abruptly when lead singer Perry Farrell got in the face of his guitar player
Dave
and they
Navarro,
started
yep.
shoving each other, and he was trying to take a swing, and you're like, this guy's on something. Like,
Yeah, he's-
something is not right here. The show ended, the tour ended, and
The band broke
The
up.
band
It's over.
has ended.
Perry's
Right?
in rehab.
they're
It's-
over.
It's very rock and roll.
it's very, very rock and roll.
How rock and roll used to be. Yeah.
What's rock and roll in 2024 is audio technicians leaking. I mean, where did this come from? You sent this over.
The mic tech from Jane's Addiction has the audio, and I think he went on a podcast, and he's like, check this out.
Every microphone, even in this studio, has its own
feed,
and that I can record. I can isolate each one of our microphones, and that's how we get a lot of clean drops of Ben saying something funny.
You like clean drops.
I can only record his audio. So they had Perry Farrell's mic, the isolated vocals of just his microphone from that night.
From that night, at that moment, essentially, 30 seconds before he spun out of control and went to attack Dave Navarro.
It's unbelievable. If you hear the voice in the background, that's the mic technician explaining what's going on here. It's strap in.
Check it out.
Stop. These mother.
Whoa.
Damn.
Yep. All right. Okay.
That's when he hits Dave, pushes Dave.
Thank you, everybody.
Hole punch.
And that's when they start fighting,
yeah.
and he gets dragged off the stage.
Wow.
You hear those sounds coming from like a stall in the restroom. You want to call?
Who does number 2
You
work
might want to call
for?
someone to.
That is me if Dylan Cease gives him a first inning home run to Shohei Ohtani. Save that one forever. That one. That's the one I want. Oh my God, Dylan Cease just walked the bases loaded.
You know that expression, got a voice like an angel?
Yes. Oh, God, I'm crying right
I
now.
feel like that dispels the notion that you have to actually be able to sing
To be a singer. 100%, man.
I remember
God
the first isolated vocals segment or bit that we ever did on Ben and Woods was Chris Cornell, Black Hole Sun.
That was
It's
amazing.
amazing.
It's
It'll like
incredible.
bring tears to your eyes.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Chills, like your hair on your arm stands up.
And then you hear these isolated vocals.
These mother.
All right, Perry. God.
Was that a C sharp or a D flat?
I
that
don't know.
he was on there on that note.
Definitely sounded flat, for sure. God, dude.
That's
and then,
brutal.
oh man, the bass player.
We're having fun. I would like to say,
Yeah,
I'm very glad he's getting the help that he absolutely
me and you
needed.
both, dude. I mean, I love Jane's Addiction so much, and that's really tough to see. But man, the bass player for Porno for Pyros, which was his side band, came out recently. He goes, Perry Farrell is literally the worst human being on the planet. And I'm like, I'm reading this stuff going, oh, God. And so, good. Hopefully he's in rehab, getting treatment, gets the help he needs. But, yeah, that was a pretty tough one to listen to this morning.
Whew. Paulie, thank you very much. This segment of Ben and Woods brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football, and B-Dubs is kicking off football season with 2 limited-time sauces. Try their new Buffalo Bacon Sauce for bold notes of smoky bacon, or get the fan-favorite hot barbecue before it's gone. Try them at your local B-Dubs, or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go! Scan can put down some wings. Scan can put down a lot, actually. You see, he's very tall. He's very thin.
That man eats.
But that man,
you wouldn't believe.
You don't know this about Scan?
Is that a thing?
Oh my!
I
didn't know that.
Gracious.
He's like Joey Chestnut.
Yeah. Scan,
I had no idea.
Scan can put it down, like pregame, during game, post game. Scan's got the metabolism of a canary.
Wow.
He works out hard though. I mean, he earns his meals.
I had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know he was a big eater.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big eater.
Big, more of an eater.
More of an eater, he is. Scanlan next on a Friar Friday on the Fan. It's a full house Friday here on Ben and Woods. It's Friar Friday as well. We've got Kyle Glaser in studio from Baseball America, and we've got our manager's report later today. Mike Schilt, I believe, is going to join Chris and Gwen later on this afternoon. But right now on our Friar Friday, and it's been much too long since we've had a chance to chat with Padres dugout reporter for Padres.tv, and one of our favorite big right-handers, Bob Scanlan, is joining the program here on 97.3 The Fan. Scan, happy postseason, happy division series to you.
Yeah, thanks. Happy postseason to you guys as well. I know you guys are having fun with it.
We are having a blast with it, Scan. I just learned something about you. I guess I did not know. Ben and Paul were just praising your ability to pile down food. I didn't know you were a big eater.
I sworn we've done this before.
Yeah, I didn't think we had.
I think we have.
I don't have much of a memory left, Scan, so I just kind of live day to day. Are you like, what are we talking here, calories wise, a day?
I don't know. I'm kind of curious where these reports are coming from.
So am I. And that's what they're just like throwing things out. It's speculation.
Our last segment, Scan, was sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings, and we said, oh, Scan could throw some wings down. Like, I would take Scan in a wing eating contest.
I appreciate the confidence, guys. Look, at 6'9", I've got to have some calorie intake, right?
We talking 3, 4 a day? What are we talking? 2?
He doesn't. He eats his meals. That's what he does.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, we just take care of ourselves. It's all good. But I would take on anybody in a pizza eating contest. So if you guys are game, let me know. I'll meet
I'm
you
not.
anywhere.
No, I'm like 1-2 slices max. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but I have a sweet tooth. I know you have a sweet tooth. I often see you with Terrace treats. We've still never gotten to sample Terrace treats, Terra Musgrove. I really would like some at some point, but I'll wait my turn, Scan, because I know that when you get those down there, when Joe is pitching, it's always one of your favorite things to get. But do you have any update? Have you heard anything about how Joe is doing?
No, I don't have any updates, guys. I'm sorry. I have no more insight than everybody else has. Obviously, that was a super concerning moment. And, we all saw it kind of evolving in front of our eyes where everything seems to be going well, and all of a sudden he steps off the mound with 2 outs, and Higgy slowly makes his way out there, and you're like, what's going on here? This is an odd time to have a meeting on the mound, and the next thing you know, the infield comes in, and you see Ruben comes like, here we go. So anyway, very concerning. Obviously, anything with an elbow under any circumstances, but especially with a guy who's already been fighting through some elbow stuff this season. So I don't have any updates on things, guys. I just keep my fingers crossed like everybody else that it's nothing too serious. And, in the meantime, thank goodness for the Padres that they have the depth that they have, and you can fill in with somebody of the quality and experience of Yu Darvish. So what a blessing that turns out to be, and we'll see how it all plays out. But fingers crossed for Joe for sure.
Now, Scan, we got our buddy Kyle Glaser in here this morning. He had a question for you as well. So, Kyle, Bob.
Hey, Bob. How's it going?
Kyle, how you doing?
Good.
How about you?
Doing all right. So, last time I saw you was the Robert Suarez game where he served up the go-ahead grand slam to Parker Meadows, and I remember we were talking that evening. From August on, he had a 5.24 ERA, and there was a lot of concern. Which version of Robert Suarez are we going to get? Comes out 2 games against Atlanta, clean. What are you seeing from him? What's changed, and is he back to being the Robert Suarez of the first half? Because that's critical for the Padres' postseason chances.
No doubt about it. And it's interesting because everyone's sort of wondering those same questions, right? Is there something to be concerned about? If so, what is it? How do you fix it? If something's going on. And the first thing you look at is, okay, velocity, right? That's the number one thing that immediately everybody goes to. But what I normally go to first is location. Look, when you start to fatigue as a pitcher, the first thing that's going to go is your location. The second thing that will start to leave you is the late life on your pitch, because you'll start to drop your arm a little bit. That'll change the spin rate and the efficiency of that spin rate. And then the last thing you'll usually start to see is a velocity drop, and that's the key. Like, okay, there's definitely something wrong here. So all that being said, the velo's still good. He's still pumping it up there, 100 and 102 miles an hour, right? But he's not been getting the same swings and misses that we're normally seeing out of him in certain games. And I think first of all, it's location. And I'm wondering, and I don't have all the data to back this up, if he's getting the same efficiency on his spin. Remember last year and the previous year, he was more of a contact type pitcher. As hard as he threw, it was still a lot of ground balls. This year, they changed the shape of his fastball, and wow, it was lights out. Remember that streak where he threw over 60 consecutive fastballs?
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't touch it. Like, holy smokes, this is legit. He's got late life. He's got carry. He's changed how that fastball is running through the hitter zone. And that's carried him through the whole season. Now, at this point in the year, look, guys have seen him a little bit more. They know what to expect. In talking to hitters, it's fascinating when after they've seen a guy, they're like, yeah, okay, now that I've seen him, I know the velocity, but more importantly, I know how it's going to get on me. I know when I need to start my swing. I need to start at 2 to 3 miles an hour faster than I would have, previously. And so I think there's a little bit of that, but also I think the command hasn't been quite as sharp for him. And that, look, it's normal. It's this time of the year where, look, everybody on the field has something they're fighting, some sort of a fatigue that's kicking in. But I'm not worried about him in that he still has the velocity. We saw the other day, to your point, Kyle, shut down the Braves 1-2-3, look sharp doing it. So I'm hoping that we see the same Robert Suarez that we saw most of the season. Is it going to be flawless? No, possibly not. This is postseason. You're facing the best hitters in baseball. The league's had a chance to see him. I'm sure he's fighting some fatigue like everybody else. But if he's still locating that 102 and mixing in that changeup, which we saw a little bit more in the last couple of outings, didn't we? We saw a little bit more off speed.
Yep.
We saw a few more changeups to try to get them a little bit off pace. I think there's still plenty left in the tank for Robert Suarez to be that back-end guy that the Padres are, to your point, going to need.
Talking to Bob Scanlan, and Bob, obviously with the wild card now, more teams in the playoffs, more opportunities for guys to get playoff experience. When you played, it was very hard to get into the playoffs. Just one wild card or 0 wild cards when you started. Did you? Now, I was looking at your career. The only playoff team you were ever on were the Astros, right, in 1998?
Yeah.
Did you get to play?
I was.
Did you get to appear in that postseason against the Padres?
No, they brought on some guy by the name of Randy Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
That took my spot, and he took my pants also.
Took your pants?
They were the only ones that fit.
Yes, 2 big, tall, one's a lefty, one's a righty. Oh, that makes sense.
So that's as close as I got to big league postseason.
Your pants
play,
made
my
it to the
pants
postseason.
Got in there. Yeah, thanks to Randy Johnson. So.
Guess what? Your pants lost, if I remember that game correctly.
Yeah, things did not go well.
But my question is, obviously these are special opportunities for everybody, including pitchers. You may still only have a couple of starts. Dylan Cease has only had 1 so far in his career. How do you approach a game when you know it's not? This is not one of 33 starts in a season, not one of, maybe 100, 200 appearances in your career. This is like make or break. How do you approach that as a pitcher, do you think?
Yeah, and to your point, as we just discussed, I never had big league playoff time. I had multiple minor league playoff experiences, won a couple of minor league championships. So, it's not the same intensity as 50,000 people, yelling and screaming and everything, but still, it's something you care about, and there's certain games throughout your life, different situations where you can easily put more pressure on yourself. What I learned, the thing that helped me the most, and this may sound like a bummer, but this is the only way that I was able to keep control, is I had to block out all of the external expectations and excitement of the moment, right? So as much as you want to be sitting there saying to yourself, man, this is the NLCS, this is the World Series, whatever it may be, and you want to enjoy that moment, yes, you want to enjoy the experience, but at the same time, when it came time to compete, I had to completely shut all of that off and do everything I could to convince myself this is absolutely in no way any different than any other game I pitched if there was nobody in the stands.
It's a baseball game.
I have to just, exactly. And then easy it is to say that, to emotionally get control of yourself. So for me, what I had to do is I started focusing. I tried to control my mind, and I would just focus on, okay, what is my mission today? I can't think about this is winning a playoff game. This is the most important. I can't even think about pitching 7 innings to get it to nothing. I had to think about what is this pitch that I need to make right here, right now. And I would go over in my mind, facing the entire lineup, and I would literally walk through in my mind, making every pitch to every batter and watching how I was recording each out. Okay, this guy's first plate appearance, here it is, here's my 2-seam fastball down and in, I got the ground out at the third. Awesome. This guy, here's the slider that I needed to throw. Next guy, here's the split finger. And I would walk through the entire game in my mind, and I'd put myself in situations where, bases loaded, nobody out, 3-0 count. Okay, what am I going to do right here? I'm going to get into the mitt, and I'm going to make a pitch. And I'd also put myself in situations where it's 2 outs, nobody on, 0-2 count, and stay focused. What do I need to do? I need to make my pitch. So by doing that, guys, I would get control of the things that I actually had control of, and I would walk through, and I'd have a positive experience in my mind already of having pitched this game, having gotten these guys out, put myself in situations where I was not in the driver's seat. I had my back against the wall and yet envisioned myself still getting out of those situations. And I would also see myself in the driver's seat. So, because sometimes you're in the king position and all of a sudden you get a little sloppy. And the next thing you know, there's a couple guys. No. I'm locking this down. I'm taking care of business. And by doing that, I was able to control some of the external noise and the external emotions that were going on and just stayed focused on what do I need to do to get that ultimate goal. That is to make this pitch right here, right now. And I'd already envisioned myself making it successfully in almost every situation and scenario that I could put together. And through doing that, I was able to control, a lot of those emotions. And all said and done, it's a lot funner to walk out of that experience and feel good about yourself and know what you've accomplished for yourself and your team than getting caught up in the emotions of the experience. So that's what worked for me. I'm sure every guy has his own tricks of how to get locked in. And frankly, there's some guys that they embrace that emotion, right?
Yeah.
Oh my, this is it. And they're able to do that. I would think like a Jake Peavy type guy would, it comes to mind of somebody that would just, hey, bring it on. 7th game of the World Series, yeah, and I'm going to use this emotion, and I'm able to channel it and focus it. So every guy has their different way of doing it, and it is kind of curious to see how guys manage it. So it'll be fun to watch. I can't wait to see Dylan Cease out there because we know when he has his stuff, he can shut down any offense in baseball. So looking forward to that matchup.
Have you had a chance to talk much pitching with Dylan Cease this year, Scan? I mean, he's a big, tall right-hander too, and nasty slider, and electric fastball, and all of it. He does. It, you see the frustration on Dylan with himself when he is not locating. Have you had a chance to talk to him about how good he is and how good he can be?
Those moments where he takes his hat off, he runs his fingers through his hands, and he does a 360.
Yes.
He's so frustrated with himself.
So mad at himself.
He's so fun to talk to. He's I'm blessed because most of the pitchers on our staff are very open about talking about stuff and what they're going with, what they're battling physically at that moment. Sometimes it's a mechanical thing. Sometimes it's a little bit of an approach thing. Sometimes it's, I gave this guy too much credit, or I got away from my game plan, or I got caught up in the moment, or, whatever, or the opposite. Man, I've got it going on. My rhythm is perfect. I've got my release points. I incorporated this pitch. I could just see and feel the hitters were telling me so much information. I was able to dissect it and use it in that moment. So it's fun to talk to those guys. And with Dylan Cease, most of the time it's a rhythm thing. When he has his rhythm down, especially with the lower half of his body, when he's keeping that front hip closed and he's driving and he's keeping his hands close to his body. You may recall in the middle of the season, right before the Atlanta Braves game, he made a little adjustment in the bullpen with his hands, basically to try to make sure the guys weren't tipping pitches. And it turned out that it actually helped his arm slot as well and his release point. So, and a couple days later, he's throwing a no-hitter. So those are the key things for him, really, is usually the lower half rhythm and keeping his hands close to his body to make sure that he's got that nice release slot. But those are the two key things from him from a mechanical side. And when he has that going on, guys, when he's locating his fastball to the slot that he wants to get to, when he's putting it on the glove side when he wants to, on the arm side when he wants to, it's lights out because now he's in command and nobody can touch that slider because the hitters have to respect that fastball to both sides. So that's really his key.
All right, so Bob Scanlan, we go back in time, but we fast forward to today. Bob Scanlan is in the Padres bullpen, and the phone rings, and give me Scan. And Shohei Ohtani strides to the plate. How does Bob Scanlan attack a hitter like Shohei Ohtani?
Good question.
Bases are loaded,
Good
though.
question.
There's no open base here, and Shohei's up, and you're like, all right, this is the matchup that I've been waiting for.
Game on the line.
Everybody wants a taste. You want to see if you can beat the best. Certainly. How do you go after that guy?
Why are you bringing in a right-hander to face Shohei?
Oh, we're out of lefties. Okay. We've run completely out.
It's the 16th inning.
We're in the 13th inning. Scan's the last man in the bullpen
your
here.
managerial skills here, Woods, but go ahead.
Wow. I love that you guys are questioning the managers no matter what, even when it's each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I got to figure out what do I need to do early in this at bat to sort of establish something. The first thing I need to establish is that he's going to get a fastball inside. And so I'm probably going with a four-seam fastball in the inside part of the plate to try to get ahead. And if he's hunting for it, I'm hoping that he pulls it foul. In fact, a good pitch to throw to him is probably a cutter on the inside part of the plate, because I'm either missing inside and I'm establishing something in and something that's coming in, And if he tries to swing at it, he's probably going to pull it foul. I used that strategy against Ken Griffey Jr. when I had to face him because I knew that he liked to jump on fastballs inside part of the plate. And if I could throw him a cutter, I might get an easy strike. And if I don't get the easy strike by him pulling it foul, I'm at least going to be ahead. I'm going to have established something inside. So for me, again, Ohtani, probably four-seam fastball or cutter inside to start with.
You moving his feet? Like, is it that much inside, or are you just going like inner third?
No, I'm not going to.
You want to swing. You want to strike one.
I'm not going to miss inner third. Yeah, if I'm missing inner third, I'm probably
done. Yeah,
have my head down, and I'm asking for another ball from the umpire. Right?
It's 450 feet into the right field stands.
Exactly. So if I get the strike, awesome. If I don't, I'm gonna miss inside. And the next pitch, I'm probably going to come inside further if I get strike one. So further establish, okay, now I'm coming in there. That's my part of the plate, right? And I don't think that he likes it in there very much. He likes to get those arms extended unless you make that mistake inner half. Then the next thing I'm coming back with is one of my split fingers. That was my best pitch against the lefty. I'm throwing a splitty. Probably trying to throw on, pretty down and away, but for a strike. Again, I don't want to fall behind in the count, and I want to show him that that's a pitch that he needs to respect that I can throw for a strike. Now, if, God willing, I'm ahead 0-2, then I'm going to try to finish him off with another splitty down and away out of the zone to see if I can get him to chase. And if not, my next pitch is going to be a two-seam fastball inside. Again, looking like that fastball in off the plate, hoping that he gives up on it. But now it's the two-seamer this time, and I front hip him and get him on the inside corner.
Where you got him? Full game. Bob Scanlan with the gutsy save. Oh, my God.
No, hey, Bob, it's a good plan. I do want to ask, kind of hard and soft away is kind of the idea of what you do with these hitters. But as you mentioned, when he gets his arms extended, it's like something else. And we've even seen sometimes where you'll get soft away and he'll be off balance, leaning on his front leg, almost one-handing it, and it still goes 340 feet over the fence in short right field at Dodger Stadium. And we know he can go the other way. It's unhuman. How much for you would you say, you know what, let's just pound him inside over and over and over again, because we've seen sometimes he gets over-rotational, can spin out on it. And like if he gets his arms extended, it does seem like it's game over.
Yeah, no, you're right. Anything missed out of the plate, he can crush. So that's why the split finger has to be down in the zone or away out of the zone, way out of the zone. And to that respect, and I know I'm using different guys to sort of do the comparison to Ken Griffey Jr. and how to get work in, but the other guy, Willie McGee, was one of those guys where you couldn't throw it far enough out of the zone. He was somehow going to get a piece of an off-speed pitch if it wasn't bouncing 2 feet in front of the plate and doing damage. And Ohtani's the same way. You're absolutely right. So the challenge, though, when you stay in one spot with one velocity for an extended period of time, these guys, they're too good. Your margin for error in there gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so to think that you're just going to now, look, if you got great command, if it's Dylan Cease and he's on one of those days where he's getting to the slot that we talked about and he's pumping that thing 97 and 99, and he can dot the inside corner when he wants to, he can put it 6 inches in off the plate when he wants to, another 3 inches further in just to make sure he moves his feet and then come back and dot. Hey, Dylan Cease can get away with that with his stuff and his command when he's on. The average big league pitcher isn't going to be able to locate that pitch in there as consistently as you need to stay in there. Eventually those guys are going to adjust. But Kyle, to your point, I think you do need to get in there because you're right. We've seen him where he starts to get super conscious of it, over rotational, and then he's trying to pull, and that gives you a little bit more breathing room away. I think that comes down to being able to read as a pitch. What are you seeing? Are you seeing the hips flying open too soon? Are you seeing that overcommitment on the inside part of the plate? Or are you seeing a guy that's still hanging in there and getting some pretty good swings on it? Because if that's the case, then you're going to have to show something soft and away to give yourself a little bit more margin for error in there.
Great insight from Bob Scanlan. Bob, it is good talking to you again. Before you go, did it work against Griffey?
Yeah, I think my numbers are probably pretty good against him.
All right,
yeah,
very nice.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
done,
done,
didn't work
Bob.
against guys like Kirby Puckey? No, not so much.
Bob, enjoy
Albert Bell? No, not so much.
Enjoy the games. We'll hopefully see you at Petco Park next week.
Hey, guys, it's going to be super fun, super exciting. Great talking ball with you as always, and go Pods.
Thanks, brother. Go Pods.
See you, Bob Scanlan. We love Scan. He is fantastic. I wasn't meaning to, any offense that he hadn't pitched in the postseason. A lot of guys never did, because when you pitched back then, if you didn't win your division, you weren't going to the playoffs. You could have a great team and still not go to the postseason back in the day. So we're going to come back, take a quick timeout. Woodsy has some tickets to give away. to his beloved Clippers.
Love it.
When we come back, Basketball Woods
Yeah.
is gonna hook you up
He's
when
here.
we return after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, here we go.
Flag 17 on.
That is lined up.
All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Actually, I had something happen on the way home from the show yesterday that I wanted to get your opinion on and whether I committed an infraction or not. And Kyle and Paulie, you can give your opinions as well. So I needed to stop for gas on my way home. Now, some gas stations like Costco, there's just the one way in, and you pull in and you go the one way out. But most gas stations, there's
Multiple
it's
ways.
multiple. You can go in on either side. You've got a left tank, right tank. So I pull in. It's the Valero right off Encinitas Boulevard.
I know it well.
I do too.
I know it very well.
In-N-Out Burgers right there.
That's my spot.
OGs, yeah.
Yep.
Love those guys in there.
It's
Crab
I
Shack.
pull in, and it's busy, but it's not like every pump is taken. But I pull in, and on the side where I pull in, there's someone waiting to get in behind someone else. But no one's really moving. So I just pull all the way around and come through the opposite side.
You're good.
I think you're good.
You're good.
Okay. I thought I was too. But then I start filling up my tank. That guy who I went around is still there waiting, and I'm starting to see the glare. Now, the person who is between us, who he was waiting on, now can't get out because I'm on the other side, and the guy behind him didn't move back to let him out. So now that person's glaring at me.
Because he's boxed
and the
in.
other person is boxed in, and the person who was waiting is glaring at me because I skipped my quote-unquote turn to go to an open tank. I mean, if there's an open pump...
He could have moved.
He could have gone around first. He didn't. So I just went around him and went to the open pump. Did I do something wrong, or what's going on here?
Well, I think, you missed an opportunity to say, do you know who I am? And where am I and where I'm going?
Listen here, boy.
Yeah, you know who
Ben
I am.
Higgins.
I'm Ben Higgins.
I'll say this. I think you're totally in the clear with the guy who was waiting behind.
Yes.
Because
Right.
the pump was open. I can understand how the person who's now boxed in would be annoyed at you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
But again, you're supposed to just go to the open pump. If there's an open pump, go to the open pump. Don't be waiting on someone just for the specific pump you want to get to.
Well, I mean, and also don't go to Jersey Mike's and order 7 sandwiches in one clip. Call it in, order ahead. I'll murder you if I see you.
You can
again.
order online. Pick it.
This happens to me every time I go in. How many sandwiches, sir? 6. Oh, cool. All right. And then he gets the phone out. I've had people make the call. Hello? Yeah, what did you want? And I'm just sitting there rocking.
They want to
back
know
and
what kind of
forth.
cheese.
Yeah.
Did you want the provolone?
You want pepper
or did
jack?
you want the Swiss? Or
Wheat or white? What kind of bread again?
Carlos says he hates people that goes inside the store while they pump. Guilty as charged. I will leave that thing for about 20 minutes if I have to.
See,
perusing the candy aisle.
Yes.
Well,
I am big. I will never do that. The one exception is if my 3.5-year-old daughter desperately has to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, then you have to.
That is the
Yeah,
only time I will
100%.
go inside. Otherwise, stay with your car.
100%. I think you're fine. I think you're in the clear, buddy.
all right, Woods, you ready to give away some Clippers tickets? Your beloved Clippers are coming to the new Front Wave Arena. Their very first basketball game, is going to be next week on Tuesday, October 8th. If you'd like to win a pair to see Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell and the Clippers take on the Brooklyn Nets, be the third caller right now at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. And then coming, I think, November, December, they got their G League team is going to call Front Wave Arena in Oceanside their brand new home. Check out they got some suites and club areas and
Little
local
boat.
food and everything at Front Wave Arena. I'm looking forward to checking it out myself.
Yeah, little Bo and Taylor are going to be very happy. It's because as far as they know, that's as high as you can go right there. The G League, they don't know better than know it's not NBA. It's an NBA farm club, so they're
They're going to be really tall athletes in NBA uniforms.
playing basketball, which they both just adore. So I've actually gotten much better playing against them. I've really sharpened my
Your
game.
Yeah, honed your skills.
Yeah, it's like it's like an 8-foot rim.
Tuned your game against a couple of little kids.
I've really my shots gotten much better. But if I had to shoot on a 10-foot, no.
Are you dunking on an 8-foot rim?
Dunk like you wouldn't believe.
That was a Wednesday night. One of the Tier 1 basketball guys was up in the loft.
He said, "Woodsy, come on.
When are we going to get you out there?" And you're
Never.
like, not a
There's
chance.
no. It's all the running and everything. Forget it.
All right, we've got one segment
Open
left.
invite.
Kyle
Anytime.
Glaser from
Yes.
Baseball America has come armed with some info on this Padres Dodgers
I like
series,
it.
and when Kyle's got info, it's going to be probably pretty good info. So we're going to let him kind of lead the preview discussion of the series in our final segment when we come back.
Hold on. I had a buddy text me earlier when you were doing all of the Dave Roberts mistakes in October. He goes, "Shut your mouth. Stop talking. Just let Kyle continue to go through all the Dave Roberts bullpen mistakes." But we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on this upcoming series, and then we'll get out of your hair for the day.
Next on 97.3 The Fan. Now we're going to take a closer look here at the series between the Padres and the Dodgers with Kyle Glaser from Baseball America in our final segment of Ben and Woods. Don't forget, you can join us tomorrow as well. AleSmith, 2:30 to 4:30, a little pre-game before Sammy's pre-game show out there with specials on the 394 Pale Ale. Game will be on all the screens, audio up as well. It's a great place to watch if you're not going up to Los Angeles to check the game.
Well, if you are, very reasonable
I
prices.
was just about to say that.
Get into the latrine is only $154 by far. The lowest ticket prices for the playoffs.
The most expensive is the Phillies, actually, $417. Padres are number 2.
A couple of good baseball towns.
$319. Then Mets $293, Royals $256,
Wow.
Tigers $223, Guardians $214, Yankees $177. That's
Yeah.
it. And then the Dodgers, the cheapest
the paltry
get-in price,
$154 can get you in the
cheapest
door.
average price.
Right.
Yeah.
Say this for the Yankees and Dodgers, the DS for the fans is like, whatever.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
Wake us up whenever it's the NLCS,
Yeah.
ALCS, NLCS.
Yeah, I think that's what you call a bandwagon fan, right?
You got a lot of nosebleed seats at Dodger Stadium, too. Like, literally so high your nose starts bleeding when you're up there, for sure.
Yeah. So,
All right,
again, if you want to head up, cheapest tickets available in Major League Baseball playoffs, the LA Dodgers. Just to reiterate that.
All right, Kyle's going to bring some info to us after our last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by AleSmith 394 Pale Ale. Few things wrapping up our morning drive. Solo vehicle accident west 54 before Highland. It's in the center divide. Also an accident on the Civic Center on-ramp to eastbound 78 and collision at the 76 at Camino del Rey. AleSmith 394 Pale Ale, the official rally pint of the playoffs. Watch all of San Diego postseason action at the AleSmith Tasting Room in Miramar with game day specials on 394 and more. Root for the home team with other fans while enjoying the game with sound. Don't miss out. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Kyle, take us through the matchup, some of the numbers that you've kind of dug up here as we get ready for Game 1 tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at this series, what stands out, look, if you just break it down position group by position group, the Padres have the better starting rotation.
Sure.
The Padres have the better bullpen. The Dodgers do have the more high-scoring offense, and there's no question. You look at the top 3 of that order, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, yeah, that's the best group. But I would argue the Padres have the deeper lineup. Once you get down to 6 to 9, the Padres have the edge. So the Padres are positioned really well. I think, to me, the matchup that's going to determine this series is the Padres pitching versus the Dodgers lineup. I think you should feel pretty good about the Padres' ability to score against this Dodgers pitching staff. A lot of their starters, aside from Flaherty, are not going to be able to pitch deep in games. Their Dodgers bullpen is probably going to get worn out, and the Padres are going to get lots of looks at them. The Padres should be able to score just fine. The issue is going to be, can they keep this offense down? And recently, the Dodgers offense has been on fire. Keep in mind, the Padres and Dodgers are the 2 teams with the best records after the All-Star break. Dodgers, again, highest scoring offense. Talk about those top 3, but you have Muncy, you have Hernandez, you have so many guys that can go yard at any time. It's going to be, do the Padres win these games, say 5-3, or do they lose them 7-5? You should feel pretty good about the Padres being able to score on this pitching staff. It's going to come down simply to, can they keep this very dangerous offense down?
Yeah, and it's the thing that we were talking about a lot with the new playoff format is rest versus rust, right? And when you have a bullpen like theirs, you want to make sure they're rested, and they have that advantage. And ours is fairly rested. I mean, we did not, Mike Schilt did a good job at not just tearing through the bullpen because your starters gave you some length. Joe obviously got hurt, but Brian Hoeing's there to bridge that gap to get to Tanner Scott, Robert Suarez, those guys. So they're ready. They're ready and rested. But they have a full, fresh bullpen, a complement. They did the workout yesterday. Freddie Freeman was actually swinging it in there. They did have Max Muncy over taking ground balls at first base, which begs the question, if Freddie is out, Max can slide over and play the position, but that means Freddie's not hitting because Shohei Ohtani is a DH only.
Correct, and that's something that's absolutely going to need to be watched here. Not to mention, defensively, Max Muncy's gotten better at third base, but he's still not great there. So you kind of almost want him over there at third base because that gives you an opportunity. I think back to 2022,
Great point.
That big inning started with, there was a ground ball he should have had. And
No doubt.
He didn't get. So I think that's going to be something to watch. As we map this series out, I really think that the key for the Padres is just get a split in LA. Obviously, if you win both, great. But when you map this out, right, game 1, Dylan Cease versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, both standout pitchers, both capable of taking over a game. Game 2, again, Flaherty and Darvish, similar talent levels. Where the Padres start getting that huge edge is in game 3, because they come back to Petco Park. This is not the same Walker Buehler as 2018 World Series Walker Buehler. Since he's come back from the second Tommy John, his velocity is way down. This is not 94 to 97 with a disgusting slider and good enough command Walker Buehler. This is 92 to 95, nowhere near the same break on the secondary stuff. The command's been iffy, and even when he's been good, it's been 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. There's not this dominant aspect there. You can go King versus Buehler in game 3 potentially. That's a huge, huge edge for the Padres. And I think it's something where that's where the series starts to turn. And then you get to game 4. Obviously, the Musgrove injury is concerning. We have to see where he's at. But in theory, you throw Martin Perez there. And you can, mix and match it different ways against what's likely going to be the Dodgers will likely use Landon Knack, but they're going to start bullpenning.
Sure.
And the thing with that is you're talking about, okay, Yamamoto, we don't know how much he can give them lengthwise. Buehler, we don't know how much he can give them lengthwise. By game 4, theoretically, their bullpen should be very, very wiped, and they're going to have to use 5-6 pitchers to get through that game. So if the Padres can just split in LA, 1-1, they're going to be in great position to win game 3, great position to win game 4, and theoretically, if even it goes to a game 5 back in LA, by that point, if you're throwing Buehler in game 3 and having to bullpen/bulk relief your way through game 4, game 5, their bullpen's going to be very used again.
The off days do mitigate that
somewhat.
A little bit. I mean, the way you put that, though, is exactly what happened in 2022. Padres split in L.A., lost the first game, won the second game, and then won the 2 games at Petco Park to win the series in 4.
And some of that was a big mistake on the Dodgers and deciding to throw Tony Gonsolin instead of Brand Anderson in game 3 when Gonsolin was coming off of a surgery. He had not been really built up yet. And so what they did was they got him out there. He threw, I think, didn't even get to the 3rd inning, so they had to use their entire bullpen to get through that game. And then game 4 comes, they pull Anderson too early, bring in a bullpen.
He was throwing well.
Exactly.
He was shutting down the Padres.
And this is something the Dodgers do. They tend to pull their stars. After first leaving Clayton Kershaw in too long in the past, they now pull their starters too early. And so you're going to get a bullpen, particularly, again, if they're coming off a game where they've already thrown a lot of innings, they're going to be tired. And again, you're right with the off days, but if you've pitched 4 times in 4 games or 3 times in 4 games, by game 5, you're still worn out a little bit.
I'm thrilled they don't have to face Anderson. Couldn't beat him with the Dodgers, couldn't beat him with the Angels.
Yeah.
Glad he's not a part of this series. So I looked this up. I saw this stat a couple of weeks ago, and I don't have the exact updated figures, but you remember the Padres' magic number, scoring 4, had the best record in baseball when scoring at least 4 runs. But I wondered, does that apply against a Dodgers offense that can easily put up 7 or 8 runs? So I looked it up. We know the season series, Padres won 8 and the lost 5. When scoring at least 4 runs against the Dodgers, the Padres were 7-0. When they scored 3 or less, they were 1-5. That one was the Luis Arraez walk-off, Michael King, great Friday night game back in May when he had his first game at Petco Park. Otherwise, it is held absolutely true, even against the Dodgers. If the Padres get to 4, it's been their magic number all season long, they win like 85% of the time if they just get to 4 runs. And you're telling me, against the Dodgers pitching staff, Padres should be able to do that this series.
They should. Again, games 1 and 2 we'll have to see, but by the time they get to game 3, they absolutely should be able to. And I think that's where it's going to come down to, that stat is a testament to they have a really, really, really good pitching staff, rotation and bullpen. There's not a lot of weak links here. I talked a little bit about some of their A bullpen guys were ridden kind of hard toward the end of the season, and we saw Scott, Adam Suarez kind of tail off a little bit at the end, but the way they looked in the Atlanta series, I'm not worried about it. Realistically, if the Padres are able to get out to an early lead, they are in good position to hold it. That's the quality of the pitching they have. It's just you can't run out, and it's also very feasible. Cease or anyone goes out and Ohtani hits a double and Betts hits an RBI single and Freeman hits a homer.
Could happen quick.
And it's not because of anything they're doing wrong. These are great hitters who, even if you make your pitch, can punish it.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Mookie is a huge factor in this because you can. Adam Klug, our boss, is very much in favor with Ohtani of giving him the Barry Bonds treatment. And the difference in the Barry Bonds treatment with Barry and Shohei is that Shohei, if you give him the Barry Bonds treatment, is standing on second. Almost every time. Yeah. So that's a double immediately.
Yeah.
So now he's in scoring position.
With 2 MVPs behind him.
With 2 MVPs behind him. Mookie gets him over. Freddie gets him in. It's 1-0. No. If one run between the like you'd be okay. You might consider it. I tend to think if I'm Dylan Cease with the kind of stuff that I have to set the tone, I'm going right after him. I'm going right after him the first AB. I'm not scared of you. I'm going after you. If you beat me, you beat me. I tip my hat and I go get Mookie. If you put him on and Mookie decides to find deep inside the Boston Red Sox Mookie Betts, you're screwed. You're screwed.
Well, and the other thing you have to keep in mind here is the Dodgers are having 5 days off, and you talk about the rest of that bullpen, but what we have seen consistently with the wild card series is a lot of the hitters who have had this bye, their timing is off. Those first 2 games. And that's why, again, throwing Dylan Cease, game 1 guy with plenty of stuff.
Yep.
Go out there and go right after these guys because their timing is most likely going to be off.
Yeah.
Go at them hard, aggressive, fast.
Knowing you have a really good bullpen behind you, go out there and let it eat for 5-6 innings. Give us everything you have, and let those big guys come in and clean it up, and then you can play matchups later in the game. You can get Tanner Scott against Ohtani in there, and you've got Morihone, you've got Yuki potentially. We haven't seen the rosters yet. You got Wandy Peralta. You got guys that can get left-handers out. Don't tailor your whole game plan around the greatness that is Shohei Ohtani. He is great, and he's as locked in or was as locked in as anybody I've literally ever seen play the game.
Question for both of you guys, based on what happened in 2022 behind the plate for the Padres when Austin Nola caught every single game of the postseason. Now, I was expecting to see some Elias Diaz. Now Kyle Higashioka is hot, and I don't know that you want to mess with taking him out of the lineup, but you also don't want to get into a situation like Bob Melvin did where you absolutely torch your starting catcher. How do you play it behind the plate if you're Mike Schilt this series with your catching matchups with Higashioka and possibly Diaz?
Higgy's your guy. I mean, what he's done offensively, especially these last couple games, what he's done with this pitching staff, he's your guy. I think you let him dictate if he needs a day off. I don't think you go into it,
no one goes in and says, I know it's game 5. I need a day off here.
But
I mean, no one says that.
Then you watch him, talk to the trainers. It's not just that conversation. There's more to it. But again, his performance, if you see, hey, he doesn't have his legs under him in his swing. Hey, he's a little slower moving back there. Hey, he's not getting up out of the crouch as quickly.
It's so nice to have Diaz, though. And Diaz is not in whatever doghouse Alfaro was in, that none of us were still. And by the way, can we give a shout out to Jorge for tweeting the other day after the game? LFGSD. Yeah. I was moved almost to tears. I thought that was so cool. Still loves a lot of those guys in there. But whatever doghouse he was in, they couldn't even get an AB. You're letting Nola swing it in the
San Diego.
You're letting Nola swing it in the 7th and 8th inning, and I'm like, what in the world? What did he do?
Alfaro at times would leave a lot to be desired defensively.
Oh,
and that was the thing. Bob Melvin, being a former catcher, knowing the importance, especially in the postseason, did not want him back there.
And Diaz does not, though.
And that's the thing. Diaz at times has had some defensive flaws, but there's other times, other years he's been really good. He's been kind of up and down his career. So, yes, I will say this. There is a lower likelihood of Elias Diaz committing a horrendous passed ball at the worst possible time than there would have been with Jorge Alfaro, or losing strikes for his pitchers repeatedly. Every catcher happens.
I mean, Higgy's got the old catcher's interference problem. That's been a bit of an issue,
and a lot of that is a reflection of where the game is at.
And a lot of it was Waldron earlier in the year as well.
True,
but lately he's had like a couple that have just been killers against the Dodgers.
And part of it is a lot of teams want their catchers to move up closer so that they can frame pitches better,
steal the strike.
And the real issue is that lends a lot of injury risk to your catchers. We saw it happen with Wilson Contreras in St. Louis. So I'm on the side of it's not worth it, given the catcher's interference and the injury risk, but no one asked me.
Do you guys roll same lineup? Like you're just going to roll what you've got right now? Yeah, you just took 2 from Atlanta. You're not going to change anything. I've had people DMing me saying, man, with the way Jackson Merrill is, just who he is and what he's shown already, do you potentially move him to the 3 hole? Somebody was saying the other day, I think it was Chris Ello said, if I'm concerned about anybody in the lineup, it's Profar in the 3 in that particular spot. I think it's pretty deadly if he's barreling like he was. He's a big moment guy too. I'm fine. I don't mess with it. I'm just saying, like, That's a decent thought.
Do you ever think about getting David Peralta in against a righty? Because they've been doing Solano against righties now, just to have him at first base. I think they think he's a better first baseman than Arise.
He is.
He is.
They don't think he is.
He is, for sure.
Keep Arise as the DH the entire postseason. Does Arise ever see the field in the postseason?
Again, we see in the postseason defensive mistakes especially tend to get magnified. So you really want to limit, especially when you already have Xander Bogaerts at short right now. A Bogaerts at short, Arias at second is not ideal. So I think realistically we'll probably see we'll most likely see him stay DH.
Kyle, thank you so much for coming
Great
in
job,
and
buddy.
hanging out with us for a couple of hours. That was fun. What a fun show. Last kiss of the roach before the Dodgers series.
I have my reserve
Pass it
roach,
around.
though, so
Yes, you
don't
do.
worry.
You can keep kissing it all weekend long. Kyle, would you like to kiss the roach? It's we don't sanitize it. So.
I'm all right.
Yeah, he doesn't
It's
have
fine.
to.
He hasn't been kissing it anyway. That's fine. We can kiss it as much as we want. We got Annie and Elston coming up next. We will talk to you tomorrow from Ale Smith at 2:30 and then Monday morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, home of the Padres, 97.3 The Fan. Have a great Friday, everybody.